We're live. Oh my God.
Hello and welcome to the 55th. I forgot if it was like 55th. I forgot what the proper
55.
2-letter 55 and 55 th. Hello and welcome to the 55th episode of the Destiny Community Podcast. This week we have just cleared the Prestige raid, and
yes,
I got tokens.
Community, yeah. You got tokens?
I got tokens.
Sweet.
I didn't get any tokens.
Did you put them in a machine and get loot?
Put them in a machine, and they basically translate into legendary shards. It's great.
Sweeperbot.
Sweeperbot, legendary shards.
Wow, you really started this one on a down note.
Yeah,
man.
Wow. We got Slayerage here.
Positive.
I promised I was going to be salty this week, and let me tell you, all right. Well, I got some stuff to say.
Lucky for us,
curb
we got
the salt.
somebody who's a little bit more positive. We got SC Slayerage on the podcast this week. SC, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Do you go by SC or Slayer? Slayerage?
Just Slayerage now. I got the SC off. It's been gone for a little while.
Okay.
Also,
you also completed the Prestige mode yesterday in 6th place.
Yeah, we got a team together the night before and did pretty well, I think.
The night before, so you guys played for 14 hours straight before the raid even started?
No. We got together 14 hours before and played for 3 hours in prepreration.
So you're telling me...
I'm hearing excuses. I'm hearing excuses is what I'm hearing.
You tell me you got some people who had never done the raid before, prepped them through,
it was an LFG group,
and then Sherpa'd them through Prestige mode and got 6th place. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I had to explain the mechanics as we got there.
That's
as I was
amazing.
figuring them out.
That is absolutely amazing right there.
That really is amazing.
My LFG groups never work out like that.
You got to work on your explanation skills.
Yeah, this is when I start to wonder if I'm the weak link.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Prestige. Slayerage, you've never been on the DCP podcast, have you? Right?
That is right.
This is the first time.
Yep, first time ever.
This is amazing. So for people who are new to the Destiny community, because you'd have to be new to the Destiny community if you didn't know about Slayerage. Can we get some beginning Slayerage, backstory? When did you start your streaming career?
I started my streaming career about a couple weeks into Crota's End. I think around the same time Hard Mode released, when I noticed that my Xbox One had a Twitch app built into it.
Nice.
I probably would never have gotten into streaming if not for that. I mean, I played Destiny all the time throughout year one, but once I discovered that I could stream and people actually wanted to watch because of the YouTube videos that I had made, that's really when it took off, and I've started really trying to be pretty serious about it since then. So
awesome.
I mean, it's been just about daily.
You did YouTube first?
Yeah. The very first thing that I guess my group became known for was a 3-man Atheon kill, which was kind of mind-boggling at the time because he teleports 3 people into whatever dimension, so it was like you can't do it with less than 3 people, but Furball figured out that you can use self-revive to get around that mechanic, and then it went on to like 2-man Atheon, solo Crota, and just from there, we actually started to grow into the title of The Legend himself as a clam, which was originally just supposed to be a joke.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's great. So at what point did you switch over to streaming then? You said it was after Crota's End. But at what point did it start to take off and you noticed like, hey, this is something that is becoming a thing for you?
Pretty much immediately. I mean, I very specifically remember that like one of the first streams I did, I had like 600 viewers, which was just a mind-boggling amount to me at the time. And it was because I had very recently gotten that Crota solo, which, I mean, it was just a really stroke of pure luck for me because the guy who did it second did it like 8 hours behind me. So it was like it was neck and neck. But when it comes out that someone soloed a raid, then that's a really big deal. So people pretty much flocked to Twitch just because they had seen that video. I mean, that is easily the most popular thing that I've ever had happen in the clan, and it was really, I mean, looking back on it, it's not like it was even all that difficult either. It's just, I mean, I got lucky. I got a really good running start.
It wasn't even perceived as possible, though.
Yeah.
Like before I saw you do it, I remember watching you do it because at the time we were with Planet Destiny, we used to do like basically like weekly, like look at what this guy just did videos at Planet Destiny, and watching you do that for the first time, it was mind-boggling. Even though you say it wasn't that difficult for most of us having trouble running it with 6 people, it was pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to understand too with Crota that like it's literally designed to be more punishing when you've got more people. Because if you have a weak link and someone dies, and then it spawns the oversold, and things snowball a lot faster. So
True.
playing with only one reliable person, and then the method that I used in the video was like super convoluted. I was jumping in the air, Gallahorning, and throwing a flaming throwing knife, like it hit him twice or something like that. And it turned out you could just stand on a rock under the platform. So it looked a lot flashier than it really needed to be.
I do remember seeing that one because everyone's like, "Oh, it takes his shield regenerates so quickly, so you have to do something else to do it." Now, yeah.
I like the
it looks pretty ridiculous.
How do you go about figuring out these mechanics? I mean, sometimes I see the work that you guys do to solo stuff. King's Fall was the one that impressed me, I think, the most, or Wrath of the Machine. I'm sorry, and just the mechanic of fighting the boss. How do you go about finding those mechanics and I don't know, exploiting them or figuring out a way of making it happen so you're by yourself?
Actually, on that one in particular, the French player Scardro figured it out before me. He was putting all the groundwork in to fight Axis, and I was looking at just the like sheer damage numbers. It's like, okay, he's got 11 million health including shields. You need to be able to do this much damage per cannon shot to kill him, firing 25 cannon shots, and I looked at it mathematically and said, like, this isn't possible. So I didn't even attempt it because hard mode hadn't come out, and I knew it would be possible with a light level increase, and I just, kind of kept up with his streams and watched him do it. But when I do go about trying to figure out mechanics, it's really all about just pushing whatever content you possibly can to the limit. And because I'm a huge fan of not blowing my own horn, I think a really good example of someone doing that recently was Gladiator and It's Iron doing a 2-man Callus kill on normal in a way that was perceived to be impossible, because what they did was they had the 4 Scions that were alive. You kill them, it creates the barrier inside the Shadow Realm, and then they can continue living. Cookies and I had to do an exploit to get around that, but what they did was they just made a spreadsheet, determined what happens after, like, what Scion call out turns into what Scion needs to be killed, and just doing a ton of runs, they determined that after, like, Chalice, you always have to kill Sun. After Sun, you always have to kill Dog. On Axis call out, you have to kill one or the other. So it came down to a matter of just a ton of experimentation.
Wow.
Like you figure out how things work just by dying a lot, basically.
So a lot of
the
trial
Dark
and
Souls
error.
method.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots of trial and error, yeah. The Dark Souls method.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go for it, Pope.
Sorry. No. So of the efforts that you've done and you've worked through, which one has been the most challenging?
The hardest one that I've ever done was Crota Heroic Solo, because he was level 33 and we were level 32, and because of our strategies not being perfect at the time and the fact that we were under-leveled, it turned into just an absolute nightmare of a challenge, because the sword bearer would just run around like an idiot, and that made it super hard to actually kill him effectively when you needed to do it within ammo constraints of Gallahorn and a Black Hammer and whatnot. And that took like 60 hours in total. But like for comparison, Axis Solo took about half as long in terms of time, and that was because it was basically just down to skill and nothing else, which, like, it was in terms of difficulty about the same, but Crota just had more bullshit that he would throw at you, so it turned out to be a much harder fight.
Crota also had like just the connection thing would be weird sometimes, where he would just I'm not gonna do this what I'm supposed to do right now.
Yeah, it's tough to challenge that.
Over time, have you found that Bungie's trying to eliminate the ability for you to do this, or do you think it's
100%. Like the very first time going through Callus, and like the same thing is true when we were going through King's Fall for the first time. I was looking at all the different, I guess, variables and thinking, like, there's just no way you can do some of this without more people. Like the best example is what I consider to be basically the simplest encounter in the Leviathan, the Baths encounter, the pools.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have 5 people stand on the plates to even start it. So even though you can 4-man it, it's kind of pointless to do that, because you literally have to have someone with you so that they can back out.
Right.
So every single time you want to attempt it. And they do a lot of stuff like that too, which I think, like, right now they've pretty much made Callus 2-man impossible on Prestige mode.
Mm-hmm.
It's not actually impossible, but I think the strategy that it would require is going to take the aim levels of PC to be a necessity.
Right.
And then
why is that?
Gauntlet was also something.
Why is that? Why is that a thing for you? Why do you say the aim levels of PC? How is that going to affect it?
So, what we could do to beat Callus on Heroic or Prestige is the same thing that Cookies and I did, where Cookies Cookies hides carefully in the little exploit spot where Callus can't suck you up. That is, by the way, useless on teams. Just before anyone asks, it doesn't really work unless you're alone in there. And he kills all of the Scions from right next to where Callus is sucking you up in the darkness dimension, and just fires backwards the entire time, which prevents the Scions from trying to boop him up. And then I just solo the throne room, which doesn't have a lot of ads spawning in because I don't have to kill any of the Scions. So that was the working strategy we had there, and it still would work on Prestige mode, but it would be lame, I think, more than anything else, to do the exact same thing on Heroic mode and then just publish that video like, yeah, it's the exact same thing. He's got a little more health, but did it on Prestige, woo. I think that would just come across as like talentless hacks more than anything. But the normal mode strategy, like I said, revolved around killing specific Scions in order based on what was called out. And that worked because you could actually solo the Shadow Realm reasonably enough using a linear fusion rifle and trying to get into position hiding from the Scions as you swipe left and right, and then not letting the ads overwhelm you in the main room because you actually have time to kill them. But one of the big difficulties of Prestige mode is because it's constantly swapping players out.
Yeah.
If you had someone have to kill all of the projections solo while getting swapped out all the time, like both players are just going to have to be super on point, killing the projections basically immediately. And then the people in the throne room are going to have a really hard time staying alive with all the ads spawning in and actually killing the Scions too, because you're not going to be able to keep Devour up if you have to go back and forth from the throne room the entire time, and eventually you'll run out of ways to proc it. So technically it is possible, but it's going to come down to basically, I think, killing the projections in midair without even trying to kill any of the ones in the throne room, and just kill a Scion in the throne room to swap out before the other person gets sucked up, and just don't even worry about barriers.
Sounds difficult.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's possible entirely.
You could. What we ended up having to do was basically, like I was always in the mind eye zone. I don't know what we call it, but I was basically always in there, and we found that like a linear fusion rifles just one shot it all the time.
That work on Prestige too?
Yeah, it was working on Prestige too, even body shot, not just like precision shot. So, and every time you melee one of the things, I mean, you get 3 shots for your linear fusion rifle. So the math works out. You're still having enough ammo to kill 2. So if you're trying to exchange it out, linear fusion rifles might be the best thing to use.
That's exactly what Glad did in the 2-man video. I've kind of written them off, or I had kind of written them off as just like not really worth using until I saw that video. It's like, okay, maybe these are better than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. You're using some words and terminology that just I'm curious what drives you to attempt this stuff. I mean, it's obviously it takes an incredible amount of time and dedication, and there's no truth that you're going to get through it. There's no reality that you may even accomplish it. But what drives you to go after these solo adventures?
I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I think that probably for me personally, the most fun thing in a game is trying to do something that may or may not actually even really be possible. Like, if it is pushing your limits to the point that you can't even beat it, then what is more satisfying than overcoming something when you're not even sure you can actually do it?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of the same thing a lot of people do with, like, I mean, even with the Prestige raid. I think a lot of people will probably try and do it at least once just to prove that they can. And it's the same thing for us, except we're huge nerds that have tens of thousands of hours. So of course we can do the Prestige mode, but can we 3-man it? Like, that kind of thing. It's just trying to do something that we're not sure we can do.
And is Destiny the first game that you have felt like compelled to do this in, or have you, do you have a history of challenging yourself in this way with video games?
I guess I sort of do. In Halo 3, I tried to just be the best player that I could, strictly in PvP, and I definitely got to a point where I was really comfortable calling myself an excellent player on that game too, where like I would go into doubles, which was score limit 25, and just play it solo and sometimes get 20 kills at the highest skill ranking possible. So it was like, I wanted to do basically the absolute most ridiculous level gameplay I could. And I think Halo is the only other place where I've ever even come close to that, to be honest. So some history.
Have you met your white whale?
That
game that has crushed your soul and you have not bested. Is there a cup? What is that game called? Cup? Cuphead. Is there a Cuphead in your past that you have still yet to solo?
I don't think that there has been any challenge that I haven't eventually overcome. Like either it's impossible and straight up can't be done, or I need a person for it that I don't have available or something like that, or they don't have the interest. But there's nothing that I have tried and failed, because if it comes to trying for 80 hours to get it, I'll do that.
Right. So it's one of those things where you're gonna bash your, like, I guess, has there ever been a puzzle or an element in a game that you've deemed to be unbeatable, and then have moved on, and then somebody else has come through and completed it?
Yes. Okay. Then back to the same example, Callus 2-man.
Okay. Yeah.
The correct normal working strategy. Yeah. And the reason that I thought that was impossible, I had the assumption that the correct cyan to kill was generated randomly. I guess I don't know that it's worthwhile to go into the details, but it turns out what actually happens is when you get pulled into the Shadow Realm, when people leave, they choose those 3 orbs, and the 3 remaining people in the Shadow Realm are basically assigned numbers, so to speak, where someone's going to get 1, 2, and 3, and callouts 1, 2, and 3 can still give you the answer even without knowing 2 and 3 if you have 1. So when Glad is inside the Shadow Realm and he sees the callout is Sun, the only possible answer is to kill the dog every time, and Glad would never have to call out the dog. It was never on Callus's forehead. So basically, what I assumed to be randomly generated was in fact scripted, and because it was scripted, the run was possible to do with only 1 callout when you're supposed to theoretically need at least 2 to be able to guess it.
Would knowing that help a normal-sized raid team? Because you wouldn't necessarily know what the first one would be, would you?
No, it would not help a normal raid team, because if you have the 3 people inside the Shadow Realm or any other number, you would have no way of telling which was person labeled 1, 2, or 3. Anyone could be any of them.
Huh.
Yeah. Man, I can tell you that I'm lost. So I nodded a lot and smiled, but holy crap. You know, I love the dedication that you guys have to solving these puzzles. Every time that you put out a video, I watch it and I go, man, that's awesome. And then I just go about my day. I don't actually try it myself because I don't know if I would have even close to the skill or patience to be able to do it. So kudos to you.
The only one I've tried myself is the Crota one.
Crota, yeah.
Which was fun. But all the rest of them just look like, oh my God, no way.
A lot of them aren't really. That was the big thing that was awesome about Crota. You could do it because you could do the whole raid solo.
Yeah.
It made it where it was you could load in solo and it was worth it. But for the same reason the bats isn't worth doing with 4 people. If you have to get to it with more, why would you do it with less?
Right.
It's just gimmicky at that point.
The Crota thing was also it's quicker to do it solo. Once you knew how to do it solo, it's like, oh, it'll only take me 15 minminutes to get through this entire raid.
And less punishing.
I don't have to wait. It's like, okay, cool.
We also, you also have taken up a stronger voice in the community as of late. I think, have you seen yourself become, a leader in this community in that way? I guess I'm specifically referring to your Reddit post that you put up recently. But how do you feel like your role in the community is changing, or do you still like to try to stay in the background?
I would love to come to the foreground. I would love to be the voice of the hardcore players, which, by the way, before anyone someone's going to misconstrue that. I think anybody that has an emotional investment in the game is a hardcore player. Doesn't matter what your skill level is, doesn't matter how much time you spend. If you're invested, you're hardcore. But I would like to become, someone that can voice the opinions of those players in a respectful and constructive way. And if people can look up to me in that way, then that's awesome. I would like to be able to actually put other people's thoughts forward in a way that is going to be well received.
So it was no mistake that you came on this week. We knew that the hard mode raid, we thought the hard mode raid was the prestige mode raid was coming on last week. Why don't we talk a little bit about the prestige mode raid? Most of us have completed it. Pope, you unfortunately have a job, which is not my fault, but that's
fortunately I have a job.
This is true. Fortunately, it would be
with a
much
new baby.
It's going to
be really bad if I didn't. Yeah, I did try it though, and I had 2 hours to play, right? And so I got done what I could do in 2 hours of my playtime, and then I went to bed.
Which was?
How far did you get in 2 hours?
I got to the gauntlets.
Got it.
Through gauntlets.
You completed the gauntlets, though, right?
Completed it.
There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
It's tough because we went in I hadn't watched any videos or anything like that to see it, how to do it. Mesa Sean was with us and he had done it before, but and so we were explaining it, and it's, from what I saw of the gauntlets, I would really like to hear your guys' interpretation of it. And
It's your Slayerage. What'd you think of the gauntlets?
I would love to preface any Prestige Raid related comment with I want to say upfront, and it just at some point, that I would like for them to create totally new mechanics as the basis for difficulty, rather than making everybody have to be interchangeable to all roles. I would like to see that in the future.
That'd be nice.
But that said, the way that the gauntlet worked made it a lot more fun, because the whole running all 6 people at the end thing, making you have to integrate the entire time, was I don't know. I thought that was cool. Unfortunately, it ruins my rotating plate strategy to some extent, because it's just easier now to stand on static plates. I was hoping they would make it require more movement and effort, but
Well, I did like that it requires everybody to run the orb now. It means that everybody's got to be familiar with every part of every mechanic. So people who are used to only running the orbs had to learn how to do the plates, shoot the right arrows, and people who are only used to doing the plates had to learn to run the orb and do the call-outs while they're running. And it ups the difficulty, because now everybody's got to be involved and everybody's got to know both jobs and be proficient at both jobs, but also adds to the fun. Like, it's more fun that way.
But Slayers is right. It actually made the team running strat like really difficult, to the point where you might as well just not do that anymore.
Yeah.
And having dedicated plates, while it is a little bit difficult for people to pick that up initially, was the best way to do it. You know.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the rotating plate movement
Same.
strat. It was much more engaging, and it was a lot more fun, and in my opinion. But when we tried it, we couldn't do it, and so we ended up having to learn the like you just said, learn the static.
It's the extra
plate.
projections that show up. Like you got to be able to take care of those, and then help with the other plate with the shooting.
Right.
One thing that I did notice was, I think you're going to see a lot more people complaining about having to run it, because there was an interesting Reddit post a couple hours after the Prestige mode was released, and there was a guy who's colorblind who couldn't tell which circle was illuminated, which is the exact problem I was having. There is a workaround for it. You have to look for the circle that isn't blinking. All the circles have like a pulse to them if they are not the correct ones, but the one that is highlighted doesn't blink. It's still really difficult to tell with all the screen overlay effects that are going on. So
what about did none of the colorblind settings help at all?
None of the
colorblind settings only help. It only changes radar, nameplates, things like that. It doesn't actually.
That's right.
Change the color settings of the game.
It's interesting, because a lot of people, when the first, I'd say 2 weeks of running that raid, a lot of people come in and be like, "How do you know which circle?" I was like, "You can't." Wait, you can't see that? I'd be like,
it's like the colorblind test for the community.
Yeah,
It's great.
and then I'd be like,
they're figuring it out.
I'd be like, there's a possibility that you are colorblind
when we did it.
To be fair, it's not colorblind. They are very light shades of two colors.
It is very clear.
They're really not.
It is
It's
very
really
clear.
obvious.
Seriously.
All right.
Yeah.
Now I want you. I'm colorblind as well, so a red-green colorblind, and I can see them. So there's different types of colorblindness.
There's a spectrum to
it. It's a very specific one. So so for Patrick, he's seeing it very light, and for me, I can still see it, but it's not like super bright like you guys are saying.
For me, it's very obvious, but a lot of people would be in chat and be like, "I just don't see which one you're talking about." I'm like, "Oh, I see. Interesting."
Oh. Dr. Tefty.
So Slayer, your team, after you guys completed the gauntlet, what'd you do next? Did you take the shortcut, or did you go back out and do the, what's it called? It's not the Coliseum. It's the Castellium.
Yeah, we did do the underbelly.
You went through the underbelly?
Yep, we did the underbelly the whole way through. We'd guessed, just like other teams, that they weren't going to change the rotation for the Prestige after it had been established on the normal mode, and we wanted to waste absolutely no time, do it as fast as we could.
Nice. And then, so the next one was dogs, right?
Yeah,
that was interesting. I like the way that just adding 2 more dogs completely changes the way that most teams are going to have to approach it.
Not only that,
2 more dogs plus just different patrols.
Yeah, different patrols. Some of the dogs had actually different pathways now this time around. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. We noticed that like immediately. One of the first flowers that we had to get was L1, which is the closest one on the safe room side of the left. But we started walking towards that, and the dog was like walking directly towards the flower too, and it's just like, oh dang, back up, what alert.
Yeah.
Immediately had to change the way we approached it. It was kind of cool.
How long did it take you guys to get through it?
15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. It didn't take that long. We
it was about the same for us, I feel like.
We spent I want to say we spent a little over an hour, or it was like basically an hour on the gauntlet, and then we spent about an hour and a half on dogs, I think. I want to say it was about an hour and a half, because that was about how long.
The hardest part.
It took about 30 minutes for my food to get here, and that was about an hour into doing the dog section.
Other than that, I mean, the pathing was different, and the dogs, there were more dogs. The dogs had more health too, we figured out, right?
Did they?
It definitely seemed like it. I think that it's just when you're on level with something, you don't do as much extra damage, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not really 100% sure how the increased light level works, but it seems like either they have less health or you do a little bit more damage.
But other than that, it didn't really feel that much different, in my opinion. It felt like you had to learn the new pathing. Once you found the new pathing, then you were good to go.
Yeah, if you were already really, unless you were already really familiar with normal mode pathing on the dogs, I mean, hard mode's basically the same thing.
Right.
Because unless you have some established way of doing it, it doesn't really throw a curveball.
That's the thing. I had routes worked out to just be able to go, oh, we're right here, and it's this different location. We go this way, and we're not gonna we may have to wait for 10 seconds or something like that. I had all the paths worked out, so we said it was like, oh, it's in trees. It's like, okay, we're gonna go out right here and just cut through this way, and then dog right in front of our face right when we turned a corner. Oh, well. I'm useless.
Yeah.
Great.
We got caught 5 or 6 times the same way.
Yeah. One thing you will probably end up having to do, since there are more dogs, you end up having to, unless you get really lucky with getting your stacks of pollen in that fight, you're just going to you're going to have to do multiple phases probably.
Yeah, that was what we figured that the best way to do it was going to be everybody stay with the assigned normal mode strategy, and then once all of the dogs are dead, collapse inwards. And we were like, okay, so we need a times 48 stack minimum here.
Yep.
Yeah, cluster bomb rockets are just so
they're stupid.
They're stupid. But when I say that, I say it with love, because it's probably the only heavy weapon in the game that I want to equip right now. And I wish other heavy weapons felt like they were trying.
So the cluster bombs, for those not initiated or maybe haven't gotten it, there's 2 really that are standouts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sins of the Past and Curtain Call, just because they have cluster bombs and for no other reason.
Is one better than the other?
Nope.
Depends what you're trying to do. Curtain Call is better for boss DPS. Sins of the Past is better for everything else.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so if I was going into dogs with my raid team, and it's the first time that we were trying the challenge mode, what would you recommend your first step would be? To prepare, how would you prepare for doing dogs any different than normal? Is there any preparation ahead of time?
So you're saying for the upcoming challenge mode that it's not released right yet, right?
No. The prestige mode right now.
Okay. I would definitely choose one person in your raid group and just glue yourself to them. Probably the single most horrible thing you can do in that encounter is try and have 4 lone wolves trying to get to a flower, because if one person gets to it too early, it's a problem. If 2 people separate, one might agitate a dog, and that's a problem. Someone might get caught, and that's a problem. If you're gonna fail together. If you're gonna succeed together. But don't.
I love that in the script it says who the dogs saw, because
Mhm.
then everybody just like points at him and goes like, "Oh man, you know,
Yo,
you
that's
blame
some
the wipe on
bullshit.
them."
That's some bullshit because I can be behind everyone else,
I
and
know.
we're all in a rock. We're all in the same pile. Dog's gonna go just to me. I'm like,
Shouldn't
If
eat
I-
that
if-
bacon, man.
If
Hands
we're
off
gonna
the
get
bacon.
spotted by
I was
a
eating-
dog,
I
I
was
always run
constantly
behind
eating
somebody so
the
they don't
ramen.
like my name doesn't come up. Yeah.
I was constantly eating the ramen.
You
The
were.
guy that's not getting caught. That's the goal.
Mhm.
Every
Yeah.
time. You may not beat the raid, but you didn't get caught. It wasn't your fault.
So it doesn't sound like dogs changed all that much.
Not
right?
really, right? Just 2 more dogs
No,
and a
they're
little bit different pathing.
Basically this.
Yeah. It was already easy to take out the 6 dogs. Like you could help with another one. So people who know how to take out dogs can easily like run to cave or trees to take out an additional one.
We assumed that was what they were going to do, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Those
didn't
8 flowers.
surprise us with anything so far, right? As far as like different things that we talked about could be a possibility. Everybody taking turns through the gauntlet, we said,
That was an
Right.
assumption. Yeah.
right?
I think
Additional.
the only curveball at all really was that the extra psionic projection spawned in the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Yeah, and then the run at the end with everybody in the gauntlet, that wasn't different. So, how about the next fight? Where do we go from there? Because I didn't get past
Bass.
Bass.
So-
They're oily.
They're oiled.
that. Oiled
Right.
cabals.
Doesn't
Mhm.
Yes.
doesn't
All right.
doesn't Cal say you look stressed out when you enter that?
Yeah.
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 You look stressed.
Come relax in my
Come relax.
Come get
Sit
oil.
down. Let me have you a massage. I've got these hands and then the oil. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
For our team, this was definitely the fastest one.
Second try, smoked it. I was
It
surprised.
should have been.
I mean-
It should have been.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people that struggled with it, and like that. I mean, it was changed a little bit, of course, with the whatever. I don't know what to call it. The burden
Well,
of worthiness.
talk me through, like, because I haven't seen it. So,
Okay.
I've joined your prestigious raid team, Slayerage, and you know you're gonna have to explain the encounter to me, because we're about to do it. What are you gonna tell me?
Well, if you know normal mode, it's the exact same as normal mode, with the one caveat being after you put DPS on all of the lamps.
Yeah.
Once that phase is over, 2 people are going to get a debuff called Burden of Worthiness, and it'll be really obvious. It's the same thing, kind of aesthetically, as when the dogs are howling. It makes your whole screen like gray and swirly, and
Okay.
you can tell something's up. And in the center, above the central plate where the sonic protection responds, there's a symbol, and whatever symbol that is, you have to go to that plate specifically. So we didn't know the location of the plates on normal mode because it was never actually relevant then, but you had to know which plate has or corresponds to which symbol, so that if you see chalice, you can go to chalice plate. If you see dog, you can go to dog plate, that kind of thing. And once both people with the burden of worthiness have done that, the fight resumes as normal. So basically, you got to pay a little bit more attention and expect ads to be a lot tougher.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or just one phase the whole thing.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's the easy mode.
I think the reason
Both
people were having so much trouble with that is because the bathers did have more health, so they were burning more heavy ammo on the bathers, and then they didn't have as much heavy ammo to go in the to go during the DPS phase.
Right.
So then
Mm-hmm.
the bathers. We said they were oiled, and there is a mechanic with them.
There is, yeah.
Yeah,
they-
that's right.
Yeah. Like wherever the bathers die, they leave like this purple, glowy, oily effect on the ground, and if you stand in that, then it burns through your psionic stacks quicker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't
Kill
really
them on
have
the plate.
problems.
Get off the plate.
God, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, we didn't notice it because we just
I was standing
three
right in it,
merciless
and I didn't
shots.
notice.
So then when you kill it, you get heavy ammo back, and then like a grenade on it, and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really just have to be relentless to those guys when they're spawning in, because it's
Yeah.
so much easier to not let them become a problem in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, we go to Callus's throne room,
Yeah.
and there are a few changes there. The most noticeable being the increased health pool, or the difficulty in which you have clearing ads. I felt
Mm-hmm.
really caused, I think, more wipes than anything else, aside from being spawned in
The
To
elites,
a-
man.
flying suck room.
That's a pain in the ass, but those elites take so much ammo to burn down.
Yeah.
Is there it would be great if there was a way that you could get more heavy ammo or more power ammo.
I know what you're saying there, Pope, with the whole meleeing the scions thing, but it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
Yeah,
My
there's
problem
some
isn't
way-
actually
only
power
you could-
ammo. My problem was never power ammo so much. I just saved that to actually do DPS. It was primary and secondary. I guess if I was using more power ammo to kill the elites,
Centurions and stuff.
then I would have had more ammo for Callus. But it was just constantly running out of ammo in that room, like over and over again.
No, I mean, Patrick, I was almost thinking, wouldn't there be great if there was a way that you could get more heavy?
You're talking
Or more
about a certain
power.
glitch
I mean,
like,
with the coil?
Or
Is there?
we could like go into our inventory and then use an item in the very spacious inventory screen that we have, and
Yeah.
like
Some kind of
Heavy?
ammo synthesis or
a
something.
synthesis.
That's what,
or a
Interesting.
box, and you could
like a consumable that you would purchase with your.
No, but that's not
plethora
even in
of glimmer?
Destiny 2. That's not even Destiny 2, Patrick.
Why don't we save the glitch for discussion after Callus?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And let's talk
There's
about
a
Callus.
glitch?
And we'll talk about the glitch in the discussion about World's First and all that after that.
Mm-hmm.
So Callus, the changes. Walk us through the changes, Slayer.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's one change, which is that when you kill a scion, you're teleported to the Shadow Realm, and someone in the Shadow Realm is taken out of it to take your place. I think that's the one change.
that is the only change.
But it's awesome.
It's a
It-
fun
it really-
change.
It's fine.
Yeah, it completely changes the way that you do the fight.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, but what we found the dominant strategy for that to be, I think, was calling out left to right when you're inside the Shadow Realm, so that you don't just get confused as to like who is calling out first or whatever. Since you can't actually control it and just say, like Tefty first, Pope second, and that sort of thing anymore. That doesn't work. So now you just call out left to right, and that prevents
Talking
a lot
about
of the confusion.
the symbols that appear on his head.
Yes, that's right. So having the order based on where you are in the Shadow Realm rather than who you are on the team, that's a big kind of needed change that really drastically changes how you approach the fight. But then one other thing that you can do to kind of maintain some tiny bit of control over how the experience goes still is keep one person in the throne room and have them not ever kill a scion themselves.
Yeah.
So like if you had like a person on the team that wasn't comfortable at all for whatever reason with the Shadow Realm, you could say to them, like, you're never the one who kills scions. That is never your
Briar.
job.
That was Briar.
I pretty much stayed in the throne room the whole time. What'd you guys think? So now that we've done the prestige mode, what'd you guys think about the entire experience of the prestige mode? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate every minute of it? Are you looking forward to doing it again?
So I thought it was good. I thought the challenges were interesting take. Just like Slayer said, it would have been nice if they added new mechanics, but I didn't expect it. So I was expecting what we already had with some twists. And in that just experience, I thought it was fun. But something that we didn't talk about at all was the rewards. And for the rewards, I don't think it's really worth grinding prestige mode. It's become more of a achievement hunter type of thing where you do it once, you're kind of good. Sure, you can get some cosmetic armor, but in reality, it's not going to help you do the prestige mode any better. So it's more of like, hey, we did it with the team. We knocked it out. It was difficult, but we overcame the challenge. Now I have no desire to grind it for loot, which it's a bummer because in the past, Destiny 1 has been about the grind to get more stuff that we think is good and also actually does help you do some of these encounters better. And they've completely changed that direction with this mode and just made it prestige. It's a prestigious thing. You have prestige in the community for completing this event, and doing it
glowy
over
armor.
doing it over and over doesn't really necessarily help you in the mechanics of the game anymore.
I hate to echo a complaint, but I think that the prestige mode being set up this way just flat out fails badly, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. I would love to have more content at that level, but I'm absolutely not inclined to go back to it because, I mean, I got a rare emblem. I got an ornament for a weapon that is clearly inferior to rockets, and I got a chest piece that was basically the same as the raid chest piece that I already have, except it doesn't have a mod in it, so I've got to invest a mod in it to get it on the same level. So in terms of the reward structure, it's it's really not worth it. And with the end game of Destiny being not really built around the idea of keeping players playing on a week-to-week basis like it was more so in Destiny 1 with things like daily bounties and randomized rolls and that sort of stuff, there's not really a whole lot of prestige to gain, and achievement hunter type stuff works a lot better when you can just do it on your own, because like it's not easy to do the raid. It's a big pain to actually commit hours to the prestigious raid, and you have to get 5 other guys who are willing to do it and good enough to do it. So I don't think that you can just attach cosmetic rewards to something that takes that much investment and have it turn into a worthwhile experience overall. But for me personally, I mean, I was playing with Esoteric and Spartans the One and Cookies and Mr. Universe and Versailles, and they're all really good players. So I can comfortably go in and say, yeah, let's crank this out in 2 hours without knowing what we're doing. But for the average player, it's content that's just not even worth going to, even the first time, I don't think.
I completely agree. The like loot progression is basically non-existent. We have it would be really cool if that emblem like evolved over time. It would be cool if the emblems evolved over time in general to give you some sort of grind to go for.
How about track your prestige clears?
You know what? I
obvious,
like
right?
seeing the number increase. Sure, let's go with that too. But having it evolve would be interesting. At the same time, I think shaders right now are kind of like the big in-game thing, and it's kind of, it diminishes the act of doing the encounter or the activity when you get the shader, the thing that's most sought after that changes all the armor from opening the first door to the encounter.
Oof.
So that basically my prestige runs will be, unless I'm like running with Datto, a very geared and adept group that can just clear it quickly, clear through normal, and then be like, hey, do we want to get the shader?
The hard shader?
Let's go back in there real quick, open up a door. Okay, now we'll go back to
Pop
the tower.
those doors.
Compared to Destiny 1, you could go in every week and do the hard mode in Destiny 1, and you could get loot for both the normal mode and the hard mode. And the loot was arguably, depending on which raid you're talking about, worth going for. In Vault of Glass, it certainly was worth going for. By the end, it was a little more specific. But even in Wrath of the Machine, the gear that you got out of that raid at least helped you do the raid, and in some instances helped you in other situations too. It had perks on it that affected the gameplay, and that's completely absent from the gear in this raid. So you've got to run the raid twice on each character to get all the loot that you want to get out of it, assuming that you want that loot at all, because it's not that interesting. It looks great. I really like the look of the prestige raid gear, but there are no harrowed weapons that we know of, right? And there's no extra perk on the armor, so
there's literally no reason.
And there's no light level.
Can you imagine could you imagine having a perk on your armor that makes you do just more damage to Centurions? Like, just let me kill those dudes faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be great.
There's literally no reason to get loot out of the raid right now, aside from the weapons, but you can get those in normal mode. Or you can get them from Clan Engram.
The hard mode raid shader, do you guys know if you put it on normal mode raid gear? I never have touched the Castellum in Prestigious, so I don't even know this, but if you put the hard mode shader on the normal mode raid gear, does it look the exact same?
I can
it doesn't have the glow.
Yeah, the purple glow.
Yeah, the Prestige has like the glowy pulsating thing on the armor.
Just like Trials.
Okay, good.
Trials
At least it has like the tiniest shred of uniqueness then.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more noticeable than the flawless gear, at least.
Yeah, the flawless gear
is more noticeable,
like wispy.
Yeah, it's really disappointing because we've been trained as Destiny players to expect the loot hunt. The collection game is very prevalent in Destiny. So they made this huge design philosophy change with Destiny 2, and we're feeling the pains of it right now. And this is supposed to be the time where we get all this cool loot and cool, a new version of Alone as a God or something like that, or maybe even if it's a different name and it becomes a sniper rifle that we actually want to use and all that. And it's just not there. This is the thing that drove a lot of raiding and grinding. Like, that was the reason why you went to get a Fatebringer, because it only dropped on hard mode on the Templar. Like, that was the thing. Like, I need this, and I also want the Vex.
And you run that raid 3 times a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it was that damn good.
The collection game was so powerful in Destiny 1 through its lifetime. There's also no super rare drop on Callus. Like, where's the super rare drop? Like, where's
excuse me. Hi, every single drop is a rare drop on Callus for me because I'm sitting here, still no sniper rifle, still no scout rifle, still no hand cannon after.
Okay, but
that really hurts, huh?
There's no ship.
Use those weapons all the time.
There's no ship.
There's no ship. Why is there no ship?
Yeah,
no ship.
There's no.
Why is there no ship?
There's no like dedicated exotic that would only drop from that. And I know they stopped doing that post Crota essentially, but that stuff was. That was like the memories that people had. Be like, what? We did this super hard thing and you got the Vex? I'm going to unfriend you right now. By the way, can we run this again next week?
Yeah, but that's a good, like, well, why is there no ship? Why is there no Sparrow? Like, isn't that just like a thing?
I think we kind of know the answer to that question. I mean, there's an elephant in the room on that one. Let's be real. Like, Eververse, they can't put ships and Sparrows in for the raid because then you have less reason to buy them.
Do you really think that's the reason, though? Is Eververse?
Yeah. Why else would they do it? What other possible reason would they have for putting less rewards in the raid?
I had a stream about this last night and legitimately talked it through, and I've come to the conclusion that they just fundamentally shifted the philosophy of Destiny 2 from a hardcore loot collection to a experience game where the loot collection is still there, but it's minimal in comparison, and the end game content is this quote-unquote kind of achievement hunt where you do the prestige Nightfall because it's like an achievement that you did that. You don't really get loot that helps you with prestige Nightfalls. You do the prestige raid because it's an achievement. You get the emblem and you get the aura, but you're not getting stuff that other people can't get if they're not able to complete that. So it's more of an achievement hunt.
You still do, though, kind of, with the emblem and the, Legend of Acreus. You do get some stuff that other people can't get. It's just they decided to draw the line at ships and sparrows because the only way to get those is Eververse, and they want it to be the only way to get them. As far as
I see what you're saying. I'm assuming ships and sparrows are going to be more introduced into content as time goes by. I didn't understand the line you were talking about where the only place where you're ever going to get a ship or a sparrow is specifically from Eververse with money.
Yep. The true drop, by the way.
Bright engrams. I mean, in fairness, they do have bright engrams, but I still perfectly clearly understand that it's kind of lame to not be able to get a ship or sparrow from the raid. But I don't hate the Eververse. But I feel like when I see the ships and sparrows not dropping from the raid, I can't help but notice the correlation there.
It's the rare drop that I'm talking about. The thing that somebody wants to go in there. Like a lot of people ran Wrath hard mode because they wanted that ship, and that ship was badass looking, and it was very rare. Yeah. And what is it that you're going to run and try to beat Callus on that you're going to get that's exclusive? Tell me, let's go.
You free up that damn space in your power inventory now.
After you've done that, what else do you do?
Run prestige. I now have an extra slot in my power that isn't taken up by that damn quest item. That is the true thing that I'm actually excited about.
You get more by getting less.
You know what you get? Friends. Okay, I'll stop.
Oh my god!
I'll stay away from that. Wow. It's just too funny. It's too funny.
Well, I'm a little surprised. Something. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know. I would just love to have something in just the game in general that dropped and you were like, "Oh my god, I finally got it!" Like one of those OMG moments. And I don't think it's really anywhere in the game.
We don't see it yet, for sure.
I don't see it.
It's definitely not.
It's so the rare things nobody's got it yet.
The things that do drop are in front of a token machine or a blue-faced dickhead that nobody likes. Right?
It's Gunsmith and then the Cryptarch. Those two guys are giving you the real things. Antiope, Ariels.
That's where our aha moments are happening, and those aren't fun.
I know it's not interesting.
Antiope D.
Whatever. And the Antelope.
I like Antelope. I'm going to call it that from now on.
It's Antelope.
The Antelope D gun.
I think it's really hard for them to make weapons that fit that really give you the wow factor too, though. I think the kinetic energy and power weapon system makes it where like there's just a lot less, I don't know, super high value they can put into it. Because if they made like a gun that was, say, on par with Last Word in the Crucible, because they're never going to make a primary that's super PvE relevant across the board. That's just not really possible to do. So if you're looking at a PvP exotic like the Last Word, then that makes your energy weapon irrelevant or your kinetic weapon irrelevant. And then at the same time, they can't really make super strong power weapons, because if they did that, then you're only going to ever equip that one power weapon. So I feel like changing the system away from primary, special, and heavy has introduced some real obstacles that they're going to have to tackle.
I think you brought up a great point in your Reddit post, was that balance isn't fun.
No.
Yeah.
At least I mean,
when you're trying
balance can be fun, but this version of balance where everything feels kind of on the same power level, it isn't necessarily fun.
I mean, balance works
think
for
it doesn't
competitive
work.
gaming.
Yeah,
but that's it.
exactly. I think it's only for PvP,
Right.
and the huge problem that
Competitive PvP.
Yeah,
As well.
competitive
Not just
PvP.
like regular.
the huge problem that Destiny's had forever now is that the developers are really staunch about making sure that wherever you get that weapon, you can take it into both worlds, or you can take it into both PvP and PvE, and it's going to function the same. And for the life of the game, that is going to be a problem until they finally break that apart and say, let's make some crazy weapons that are going to blow stuff up that just don't function in PvP.
And that's what I was really hoping the energy slot was going to be. Their chance to just really let loose and make some crazy ass shit that would be epic to use in PvE, and then maybe you'd want to try it in PvP, but
Like the
really
Fighting
let
Lion?
loose. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I'm a
Do you
little-
mean
I love
Did you
taking
mean
down
power?
shields.
Pope, did you
Tickling
mean
kittens.
power for that one, or
excuse me?
did you mean power when you were saying that? Energy?
Yeah.
Human energy weapons being
Okay.
interesting and
Okay.
unique.
Well, I like the idea. So this goes back to a conversation we were having in D1 where we were really I felt like there wasn't enough creativity in the guns. And it
Destiny
goes
1?
back in Destiny 1, like the archetypes. What you see is standard human bullet projectile, I really thought that when they announced that there was going to be this energy weapon slot that we were going to get more like hard light type guns,
Cold heart type stuff.
cold heart, and just get really interesting types of things that reminded me of a little bit like Borderlands, where the ammunition didn't have to, and the design of it doesn't have to fit terrestrial human bullet designs.
I think we kind of got that with the power weapon slot in some way.
We got a handful.
Not necessarily the energy.
We got
I mean, there's some stuff they absolutely
There's
have
some,
more
yeah.
room to grow there with it.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
they
like
do.
I
would-
the idea of the tractor cannon. I mean, yes, I
That's
like
very
the
cool.
idea of getting creativity with
Cold Heart
the
is
guns.
very cool.
Cold Heart's
Yep,
interesting.
There's some cool weapons. I mean, they're definitely. I feel like they're shying away from making anything as like grand as the vanilla Destiny exotics, because they were fighting them for the next 3 years. They're trying to somehow fit them into, PvP and PvE. The Gallahorn.
I don't know that that's the best idea.
It's not.
I don't know.
That's my
I don't know
take.
that it is. Yeah,
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
agree
work.
with you.
It gets us
I'd
where
much
we're at
rather
right now.
have a situation like Borderlands, like Tefty said, where you just have these crazy ass weapons, and some of them just don't work the way they're supposed to when you're in PvP. Like the stuff that makes it so crazy in PvE just doesn't function in PvP.
Yeah.
Like the weapon can fire, the weapon can, it looks and feels the same, but all the shit that it does in PvE just doesn't work in PvP. It leaves PvP alone,
And I'm hoping that they come back with some crazy ass, PvE only mods. Give us
Yes.
some
That would
PvE
be
exotic,
amazing.
legendary, and exotic mods that do some crazy stuff, man. That allow you to do things in PvE that are that are hard to get, right? That are hard to get, and you gotta do specific quests or do specific things to get them.
Just reminded me. How about raid mods? How about Callus drop mods that are raid specific that
Oh,
help you with
man,
those weapons?
Right?
All of a sudden, those raid guns could have been combined with a raid modifier
right?
that makes them like cool, right?
Oh well.
I guess we may see those changes, right? I know they're listening,
hope
and
so.
I know they're paying
Oh,
attention.
they're
And
for sure listening. Yeah.
They're definitely listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important, if you're going to talk about this stuff, is to be so respectful and to try and be constructive about it. If you just fly off the handle and start
Yeah.
calling people crazy names and stuff, you're going to get nowhere. You're just going to get ignored.
It's a good
Wait a second.
It's a good way to
you
get
mean
ignored.
somebody yelling and calling you names? You're gonna be like polite to them back and just say, "Hey, I love that. Thank you."
I'll grit my teeth while doing it, but generally yes.
Not me.
Not
I
me.
feel like you just ignore them. Like
Not
that
me,
person.
man.
Yeah, totally going to
Right.
ignore them.
Yeah.
That's why my favorite button on Twitch or Twitter is mute, because they can still keep ranting and raving,
Yeah.
not knowing that nobody can fucking hear you, asshole. It's the perfect solution for an asshole. It keeps them busy, but nobody can hear it.
Yep.
It's
So hopefully
it's
they
gonna
make
be
some changes in the future.
it's gonna be interesting to see when do you think those changes when do you think we're gonna see those changes first?
Changes like the ones that we're talking about,
Hmm.
like as far as items and stuff like that, like what you were talking about, Pope.
Yeah.
That type of stuff probably takes a while. Like not first DLC, probably second DLC. Changes
first DLC
to
does need to start changing the end game though.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
Oh, for sure. It needs
First
to
one
add
is
something.
where we need to see the investment game significantly change. Like having the mod system revamped, which should be like one of the top priorities for the first DLC, and not have it be you have to buy the DLC to get this, but with the DLC one, this patch is also going to just revamp the mod system for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think we need to talk about what they have planned for seasons.
I also don't know that the Destiny 2 can maintain the kind of player base that Destiny 1 did for the first year. Like vanilla Destiny 1, there was so much to it, like the mystery of it and the obscenely cool exotics that took forever to get. And the fact that you had to work so hard to upgrade your armor and your weapons, it kept people playing, it kept people grinding.
Yep.
Destiny 2 is a very different game. You come to like kind of your end game much quicker. And I don't know that Destiny 2, if it doesn't get some serious changes to end game, that it can maintain the kind of forward momentum that Destiny 1 did. Even though Destiny 1 had, initially average reviews and a lot of people bounced off it real quick. The people who got hooked by it got hooked really hard. I don't know that Destiny 2 really has those hooks that Destiny 1 did.
There's some people on Reddit that are like celebrating that change too. I mean, it's definitely something that is a matter of opinion rather than like fact, which is better. I mean, I am all for making a game that is worth investing in because I think that Destiny functioned amazingly well as like a hobby where you could just shoot some stuff and talk to your friends and, have online friendships that you can actually tend to in some way or other without having to play other games. But Destiny 2 doesn't really have that same power. It doesn't work as an outlet in the same way because it feels very finite. There's a limited scope where Destiny 1 felt just completely wide open to whatever you wanted to do in it. I mean, my friends have definitely helped me form this opinion by pretty much not playing Destiny anymore, unfortunately for me. But the way that Destiny 2 has, I feel like they just need to say, PvP is going to be what it's going to be. We need to make an awesome PvE game. And I don't think that would hurt PvP either, to be honest. Like, I know that PvP being balanced is something that a lot of people would like to see, but like I said in my post, I feel like I would much rather people say, PvP is unfair. I hate getting killed by the Mythic Last. I hate getting killed by the Icebreaker. I hate getting killed by the Last Word. Than PvP is dull or something to that effect, because once that person gets the last word, they're going to start popping off and be like, haha, I was an idiot before, this gun is great.
Yeah
I think that we are going to see some changes to guns. They talk about it in a thwab of us seeing seasons, right?
They're going to talk about that tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow.
We get to actually find out what that means.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty
Seasonal
big,
content.
Seasonal content. Can we speculate wildly right now what we're going to see tomorrow? I want to speculate even further.
Weeks.
I don't care.
We've
Slayerage.
literally done it for the last 2 weeks.
Slayerage, what do you think the seasons are going to bring in Destiny 2?
Let's do it again.
Man, I've had no experience with seasons doing anything all that exciting. I played Overwatch and it had seasons, and all that did was just reset your rank. I have no idea what to expect at all. I would love to hear what you guys have to say.
That's basically what we have to say.
Kind of echoing that.
We think it's gonna reset like your vendor ranks and that kind of thing. We don't think there's gonna be any like big content change.
Whoa, my vendor ranks?
Oh man,
I can only see those in dim.
I have to go to dim to see those ranks. You're gonna reset those numbers? I'm so passionate about my gunsmith rank that that's actually why I'm saving all my gunsmith materials. Guys,
Maybe
real
they change
endgame,
all the rules on weapons. Maybe it's all fixed with a different setup.
So I would like that. I really would, Slayer. Like, it'd be great if suddenly all of the weapons got a refresh and all that. I just don't think they're going to do that. I think they want the Better Devils to be the Better Devils with its set loadout. And if they are going to add stuff, they're going to have to dump in a whole new set of weapons. And I don't know that it just doesn't feel like they're going that direction.
Which is a shame too, because when Rise of Iron came out and they introduced the vendor roles, like the rotating vendor roles, it was so refreshing.
It was.
And it was so fun to go check. Okay, what are the vendor roles this time around? You know, it'd be stupendous to get brand new roles on every weapon. I think we're gonna get
curated roles.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I guess I just want to remind people that we were really upset during D1 about Fellwinters and Ephrodites and those roles that broke the game.
Yeah,
right?
But it's just like Slayer said. You'd rather have people being upset over Fellwinters as opposed to saying, "Well, this is dull."
Right. And the thing is, whenever you have people upset about some gun because it's too strong, like, of course, it sucks when they can't get that gun. But as long as they make a good, smart, conscious effort to giving you a path to that gun,
sure.
And
well,
I mean, can you really?
So the way that I see it is, we've got about a month into the game, and maybe they underestimated the frequency of seasons. I'm just guessing, right? Maybe they underestimated the amount of time that it would take people to get through till
I
the
don't
next
think they
season.
underestimated it. I think they made a conscious decision. They wanted it to be a more casual, friendly game. They wanted.
I think
they wanted more
surprised,
players
though.
to be able to
They were surprised.
feel like they completed the game, to feel like they saw everything there was to see.
So there's I think their timing is a little off, is what I'm saying, because you've got the faction wars, and you've got trials, and you've got these different events that are happening that provide different guns with different roles, and even the same guns that are skinned differently with different roles, right? I.e. random roles, but they're curated roles. They're not broken random roles. So if I would be, we're not seeing the volume.
Certainly forgettable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that are, right? But then a lot of the random roles were forgettable too. So are we more upset about the lack of random roles or the lack of broken guns?
We're upset.
Absolutely, the lack of broken rolls, dude. I mean, there needs to be things.
I mean, that's what I want to.
crazy.
That's what I want to talk about here, because it's not really random rolls that we want. We want that IS Luna that is better than everything else.
We've grown to love Destiny as a loot-based community game, and it feels like they really nipped the loot. They're like, well, here's a taste of some loot, but not the type of loot hunt that you had in D1.
Right.
Oh no, it's like
not a hunt
they
anymore.
flood you with loot. It's just average.
Exactly.
Yeah, they
it's
give you
not a kind of loot. That's the problem.
It's not a loot hunting game. It's just like you do stuff, you get something from it, but it doesn't feel like there's anything that you're like hunting for anymore.
Yeah,
I miss that.
Very true.
Probably the raid shotgun is the biggest hunt, right? It's
is it
the hardest
Raid
one to get.
Whoa! Do you say the raid shotgun?
Raid shotgun?
There's a shotgun in the raid.
There's a shotgun?
Yeah, with the Actrius or whatever it's called.
Oh, okay.
the legend?
Yeah.
Okay, I would love to just really quickly address why that gun is garbage, because I need someone out there to understand. Some developer needs to get it into their head why that was a horrible, wrong thing to do. First of all, PvE reward should be good for PvE. I'm gonna just assume that as understood. But when you use that shotgun, you get one rocket or one shotgun shell per pickup, which is the same as you can get as rockets for a rocket launcher. Like, would you rather have Wardcliff Coil firing out 8 little rockets and completely shredding an orange bar enemy, or would you rather use the shotgun and shoot one shell and hopefully it, at least make something stagger? Like, why would you ever choose one shotgun shell over one rocket? What insane person would ever make that conscious choice?
PvP players, baby.
PvP players.
Yeah.
That's the answer. That's what I was looking for.
No, honestly, it's a fantastic PvP weapon, but in PvE, the space that you have to, and you only do PvE to get this, it is understandably a lukewarm weapon there.
Yeah.
Give you 2 shells in PvE, like, at least. Come on.
I think we're really seeing the effects. I think you guys we've nailed it on, so many times, but I think we're really seeing the effects of the lack of random rolls. And I feel like if for them to do the strategy that I think that they've been doing, which is these curated roles that come out through these factions and then maybe even seasons, they're not happening frequently enough.
I will say, even if they have that, though, that's not going to give us an end game that we grind towards. So
that's not the solution.
Really change with seasons?
Well, with
What would
season,
really change it?
I mean, they're going to reset your clan essentially, so you have to re-level up your clan.
Please,
My
But
God,
it-
please no.
or give me at least give me different clan rewards for each rank. But like the current ones, it's like I got a random dead orbit token. At
Same.
the end of
Oh,
the raid.
dude. Oh my
That's
God.
what I got
Getting to
from
max
my
clan
rank
rank.
level
So whenever
6.
getting one token.
A random one with dead orbit. What am I supposed to do?
Turn that baby in.
I had no idea why I was getting that thing. I had
Yeah,
no idea.
Action
That's the
in.
max clan rank, man. That
I
just
got
has
that.
to be bugged. That has to be bugged to me.
Is it? No, I don't think
It,
that's bugged.
it feels like it.
I mean, I think the problem is that they have such like mediocre stuff in the game across the board that they can't create anything that's rewarding. Because what in the game could they give you at rank 6 that you would actually really be excited about? Like, what could they do?
Well,
The-
all right.
the other thing is that
the
rank-
problem
at rank
though is that you're
6
approaching the question from a place where you already have everything. If at the beginning of the game they had spread things out across activities, and you had to go out and do these activities to get this stuff, and you had to grind strikes to get, let's say, the Hawthorne, and you had to grind PvP, you had to grind competitive PvP to get a better Devils. If you had different rewards for every different activity in the game, it at least would keep you going to different things instead of getting every reward you could possibly get in the game, like 90% of it just from doing public
So
events.
yes and no, Briar.
A little bit. Yeah. Okay. You go.
Yeah,
on.
yes and no, because what's missing. So our collection game got shrunk heavily, and it's very easy now. The other thing that they took away from Destiny 1 is the investment game. You know, the skill trees alone took a crap load of XP to fill out, like
Yeah.
an
It did,
insane
yeah.
amount. That is
Yep.
essentially gone completely. Every time you get a weapon or a piece of armor, there is no investment in it in order to max it out or rank it up. And these were things that were kind of like the cornerstone staples of when you got your Gallahorn, you're like, oh man, I cannot go and wait to use this thing so I can rank it up and unlock that last perk. That was an investment thing that you put into that, and then you locked it and you tucked it away at night, and you said you're the best Gallahorn in the world because I put my XP into you, and you're the best thing ever. You know, I'm gonna see you tomorrow and shoot some enemies with you. There's none of that in Destiny right now. You can put a shader, but that's such a limited investment. It's like, you know,
A counterpoint.
Yeah, if you could
to
drop
that one.
if you could drop like a really rare modifier.
I want to hear what
yeah. Let's hear the
Pat.
counterpoint.
Go ahead, because
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with Pat on this. I know I am.
a
Well,
counterpoint.
I understand that you want to hear what he wants to say. Never mind. Go ahead.
A counterpoint. I absolutely despise having to level up weapons. I got this cool reward. Great. Now I have to spend time leveling up to make it as
Okay.
as it's originally intended. I mean, it got to the point where they just said, okay, now you have to put motes in, and then that just expedited the process. So basically, for all of Destiny 1, once we got into Taken King, the investment of leveling up a thing, it didn't matter.
Yeah, but
That's
It-
why-
it
that's
was-
why random rolls
getting
were so
a
good.
weapon.
Yeah.
It sucked getting a weapon in a raid or or in Trials of Osiris, and then having to level it up before you could use it.
Okay,
Like,
now-
you couldn't even use it in the raid you just got it in.
So I obviously agree with you guys on that stuff, and I'm not saying that we need to have just a bare bones weapon suddenly drop that has no perks activated, and then you need to use it for like 10 hours to be able to actually unlock it. I'm not saying we need to go back to that system, but what I'm saying is that we're missing the investment in these weapons. So let's say you get your better devils and it works exactly as it is right now, but then you put the investment into that particular drop to unlock other things, unlock more mod slots. Actually,
How about mods?
yeah,
mods.
more mod slots,
Make the investments
more
in the
shaders,
mod.
more shaders or emblems and stuff that actually unlock because you use that particular weapon or role. And then
500
That accomplished
kills,
the
you
exact
get a
same thing,
shader.
though?
1,000 kills, you get another shader. 500 kills in PvP, you get a shader. 1,000 kills in PvP,
What-
you get a different shader.
what do you mean the exact same thing though, Slayer? Explain.
Ultimately, you'd still have to just put a ton of time into the weapon to unlock its maximum potential, and it would just seem like you'd maybe have the same frustration of, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this weapon just to make it usable, because
I
if you have other
disagree.
weapons that you
I
put a ton of
disagree,
time into,
Slayerage, because you're instead of putting it into the weapon, you're putting it into the mods, and you could have those mods ready to go when you got the weapon. So if you had went out and grinded strikes to get a mod that says a faster reload mod, you could apply that to your better devils when you got it. And then the rest of the unlockables could be cosmetics. 500 kills, 1,000 kills, you get different shaders. So your better devils feels like it's different than the original better devils because you got 500 kills in the Crucible with it, and it looks different because of that.
I agree to the cosmetic things, but Slayer's right. If you grind to get a mod and you had the mod ready, that's exactly the same as having the materials ready to put into the unlock node.
I disagree.
weapon
I disagree.
testing
I mean,
I
that's
disagree,
that's the
yeah.
investment. That's
How's it different, though?
well, it's because you're putting in time to use the weapon. Like right now, you have no reason to go play Lost Sectors or Adventures for your end game. There is no reason. Let's say you could actually go and do Lost Sectors because it was specifically going to unlock something for your weapons. Like that, they have all this content in Destiny 2.
I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. I'm saying that putting it in mods is the same as putting it as it was in early Destiny 1. That's all I'm saying.
As in random rolls?
Yeah.
No, as in if you have to unlock the ability to use mods, that's the same as having to unlock the ability to use the perks that are already there. If you have to put
the
in
weapon
time,
drops with a mod slot open. What I'm saying is that you have an added thing where you go out and get mods for weapons.
Yeah, you can unlock more for it.
You can customize your weapon with mods that you've earned either, in one activity or another, and different activities could provide different mods as possible drops.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're a big scout rifle user and you really want explosive rounds, you run a specific strike that is a common drop on. Or if you are a big hand cannon user and you really want luck in the chamber, then you run a strike that has, or you run a Lost Sector that's a common drop on.
We're kind of focusing on like the mods, but it doesn't have to be just mods. It
doesn't have to
the
be
problem
mods,
right now is that there's actually a lot to do in Destiny 2 with all the content that they actually dropped.
But no reason to do it.
There's no end game reason for you to go and use these weapons that you got to actually do things with them aside from you're just shooting with your friends.
I would like to say one thing about random rolls too. As far as investment is concerned, people now, if you get better devils, it's like, yeah, I have better devils. Whereas in Destiny 1, it's like, yeah, my better devils has, Outlaw, Firefly, Spray and Play, whatever else it is. Like, it's your better devils. It's the one that, God, the RNGesus gave to you. But in Destiny 2, because we don't have any really sense of uniqueness to our guns, I think that also takes out of the investment.
I feel they can return that sense of investment without bringing back the random rolls.
But I think the biggest problem is that nothing has a personality. Nothing has anything special about it. You don't feel anything for anything that you have, right? It's like, where did I get this from? I don't know. Gunsmith. Where did I get this from? I don't know. An engram. There's no reason to do anything. I feel like it would be really nice if specific things did give you specific rolls on stuff, specific weapons, specific whatever. Mm-hmm. But right now it just feels like there's nothing. There's no like personality. It's lost a little bit of the magic because
I'll tell you where you got it. You got it from a public event.
Anywhere. Well, I probably got it from an engram. I don't know. Did I get it from the Crucible? I don't know. I have absolutely no idea where I got.
I think
most
the token
stuff
system
from.
backfired on them.
Yeah.
The token system is.
They need
should have been supplemental.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They
It should have
need
been
to
supplemental.
tone back the token system and or maybe change where you get them and reinstitute loot drops at their source.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I suggest random weapon rolls, I want to point out that it goes without saying that it would need an interesting and robust reforged system. I talked about that in my Reddit post. I think that the way to do it is to have like two of the same gun can be reforged into one gun, keeping the best perks from both. So the cost is, you have to grind a little bit to get the specific gun that you want the best of, but the reward is, one, you choose what is the best version of that gun in your opinion, and also you are progressively working towards it every time you get a gun that has an improved perk. So even if it's not the perk you necessarily want, you could still improve your gun, and it's going to have a sense of identity because of you customized it. And I wouldn't want random rolls on the road. I think there's
really love the idea of taking tokens and being able to put them to things that you want that are also like, if you choose to submit your tokens to create a random vendor mod, for example, like add some RNG to that. Like, I don't know how you do this, but I would like to be able to combine like a crafting system in a sort of way where you go and you get mods and you can pull them together, and you bring 3 different rare mods and it creates a legendary mod that has
literally in the game. I'm fucking with you.
Yeah. No, but it's not. It's so basic the way it is.
I know. Well,
I'm saying
it's basic
that
because the
There's no
upgrades
depth.
there's no depth to it.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no depth.
So one thing that I do want to say, like all the suggestions that we've been giving, I like them, but they all heavily go against one of the core pillars that they've kind of built the game around and they've heavily talked about in interviews is like they want to quote unquote unlock fun, make it so you don't have to like invest a ton of time into an item or a thing to get the most out of it for your subclass or your gun, your weapon, your loadout.
I can't help but think that sounds like a commitment to shallowness.
If you want your game to be a service, you want a game as a service, it has to be able to draw people for longer than 150 hours.
Yeah.
Like it has to be, you have to have some kind of end game that is compelling. If you want it to be a service, and that's clearly what Destiny's built on, then you have to have a compelling reason to keep playing. And right now,
it can't be,
the end game is not that compelling.
And it can't be the PvP, because if they wanted the PvP to be the end game, then they really should have invested in dedicated servers for that. If that was the actual goal.
Or custom games, or private lobbies,
Customs,
or ranked playlists.
private, ranked, all that.
Or multiple feeders.
Yeah. And they didn't. So they're not really saying that they want that to be what you'd go and do every time once you've done all this.
Which is another good reason they should be okay with unbalancing it. Just gonna throw that.
I really want to talk about. There was a bit of controversy after the raid race, the prestige mode. There was a bit of controversy this time around. Some players were calling out other players for cheating before the raid even happened. Cosmo wrote a post that basically said, "Hey, we will be watching players who glitch, and they won't be able to." Place first. They won't be able to place for the prestige mode raid. And there's quite a bit of controversy because people were using, I guess you could call it an exploit. I would call it an exploit where you could basically equip the Ward of Coil and then equip a different gun and basically have full
so long as you have one ammo in the coil.
Right, one ammo. And people got pretty upset that exploit was exploited to make the raid a bit easier for some people. What do you guys think about that?
I'm not really that concerned about. Honestly, I feel like if I came in second, I would be pissed, personally, because it is a cheat. It is clearly not intended. There's really no two ways about that. They don't want any other gun working that way. Why would Warcliffe Coil work that way? But at the same time, I think any of the front-runner players probably knew about it. They probably could have used it too. And if they were super serious about winning, I think they could have done it too. And I'm not 100% sure whether or not it really would have made the difference. I think it's perfectly likely that Redeem would have still gotten first, even if they had not used that exploit. They're very good players, and they've come first in other things too. And I personally played with a lot of them. So knowing that they are very good players and knowing that having unlimited power ammo still has constraints behind it, like you do have to get out of your way to like hide and change weapons and that sort of thing. Like it does give you better DPS, makes it easier to control ads. There's no doubt it made the fight easier for them, but I don't think that it's a night and day difference, and packaging it as a night and day difference is just kind of deceptive. I think if anything, like the biggest takeaway is that I think it was pretty foolish of them to do something that is an exploit in front of an audience of people who want to see the good, clean fun, basically, because it does give them what is perceived to be an unfair advantage since other teams weren't doing it. So I think that they could have gotten world first on their skills alone, and by using the exploit, they kind of sold themselves short a little bit.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I feel like if you're going for worlds first, and there's already been this whole talk of an exploit existing, and Cosmos made a point of saying that we're going to make sure that people who are using exploits can't be worlds first. I think it's why you're really good players. Like, why even put that to the community to bash you about? Why even give them that ammo? Just do it legit. You're like, I got worlds first. We're good enough to get worlds first. Is like, there wasn't any point in them really doing it. So I think it's a shame that they did, because now them getting worlds first has just been overshadowed by this whole drama. I think I personally would be more inclined to be upset about it if the second place were really upset about it and they thought that it would make a big difference. Then I'd be like, okay, you guys know, I don't know how much of a difference it would have made to who came first. So if second was like, if we did that, then we would have came first. It was only a matter of 30 seconds, whatever it might be. But I don't know. I think it's just a shame that they used it.
Bungie was pretty clear about this, as they explained what exploit would be a disqualifier.
Yeah.
And by not mentioning the Word of Coil, I feel like
Yeah.
They tacitly allowed it. I mean, there's all sorts of ways to cheat in the game. Are you using a scuff controller? Isn't that cheating? I mean, to some extent, it is.
Well, it's not an
You're using a
exploit of
modified
the
controller,
game.
right? Well, it's part of the game, right? It's part. You know, the Ward of Coil. You call it glitch, exploit, whatever. It's part of the game. It's in there. Are you exploiting
But it is
Maybe
something
you
they're
are.
going to fix. There's no doubt that they will come back. I mean, I've thought about doing challenges with the Wardcliff Coil exploit myself at some point, and I always think to myself, like, I can't do that because if they do ever fix it, which I expect them to, especially now that it's gotten so much attention, all it would do is kind of make the previous victory that I had less meaningful because I couldn't do it again the same way.
Mhm.
Like, if you can't accomplish it without Wardcliff Coil, then, or if you could accomplish it without the Wardcliff Coil exploit, then you should, because otherwise there's no way to prove that you might not have been able to if you already did.
I think cheats or exploits are part of the if we're calling this a race to world's first, but it comes from a tradition of speedrunning, right? And so I think that this is glitches are an example or often are a huge part of speedrunning levels.
Mhm.
So I think the in-game exploits is kind of like what Breyer was talking about. I think by Bungie identifying which one was off limits, there was this acceptance of others that were in game. The only thing that we didn't see that the speedrunning community does do is they do more of an effort to outline what is acceptable as a general rule, kind of like the PvP competitive community does with like their rule sets.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see anything like that for the raid, and so what you got was some people using essentially different sets of rules.
Yeah, but I'm like Breyer
or
said.
morality.
Like Breyer said,
but
Bungie outlined what the glitch was that they were looking at,
Yeah,
they did not mention the coil. So,
Right.
in my opinion, it is what it is.
Hold the phone. They knew about the other glitch, though. They might very well have said, we're not going to let the Wardcliff Coil exploit happen, because they've never mentioned before now anything about it. If they were not aware that it is a problem, how can they say, don't do this?
They knew about the coil, though.
Are you sure that they did before?
Oh yeah, the coil. That glitch has been around for like a month.
But do they know about it? Where have they confirmed that they know about it? Where have they publicly said something?
They don't publicly.
Bungie
say a lot
never
about
acknowledges
it.
things that they're aware about in the game. That's pretty obvious. They're usually like, we're listening to everything, but we're not going to respond.
What about the emote letting you break through walls? I mean, they've said specifically, like, there's an emote that lets you break through a wall. We're canceling trials because of it.
Mhm.
But they haven't acknowledged there's a infinite power ammo glitch. I think if they had ever acknowledged that somewhere, it'd be more likely for them to say that it's not okay to do in the raid.
Yeah, they would acknowledge.
I'd be very surprised if they didn't know about the Word of Coil glitch.
Oh,
I would also be
definitely know
surprised.
about it. The thing is, they're not gonna mention it because they're not feeling like it's actually breaking a large part of the PvE experience right now.
Anytime they
Enough.
mention something like that, too, they also shine a huge spotlight on it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is that it would have there wasn't like a community effort to voice what these rules were be about, like you see in the speedrunning community. So you got this kind of disproportionate rule set or morality when they came to
You don't
running
get to you don't get to make the rules after the race is run.
right. That's my
Yeah.
point. And so
And you can't complain about breaking the rules.
And I look back and I agree a lot with what Watt said. It's like, this community is that finished the raid is this group that finished the raid. They're quality players,
Mhm.
and you see a lot of the people within the top 10 are all good players. I guess it's a shame that this was even a thing. I mean, you know what I mean? It really kind of takes away from the experience for me. It really, as far as like this animosity of people kind of going at each other.
I feel like it's because of the state that the end game is right now and the community discussing it. The prestige mode coming out and not really having loot that's going to make us excited to talk about. It's more like, hey, here's something. Here's a negative topic that we want to just like jump down. And while it does have merit, I do agree. Like there is the discussion of it. Should it or should it not be involved because it is technically a glitch? I think it's blown out of proportion because of the state of the game at the moment and how we're feeling about the end game.
I think going forward, we should probably have a conversation as a community about like what kind of stuff are we going to allow if you want to be included in the world's first, and Budgie should be involved in that discussion because they're ultimately the ones who make the decision of who's the world's first, right? They're the ones tracking the server,
and I think they did.
Yeah, I guess they did.
And here they did, right? They said they didn't go to specifics of the rules, but they said this is the one thing that will disqualify you, and in my opinion, it leaves everything else on the table.
Yeah,
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
Does that not give kind of a question about why the other teams don't do it too? Because I'm sure that there were other teams that do know about it and decided not to do it. So the fact that it was on the table still kind of goes against the unspoken rules of the community, which is, I guess, where the whole conversation even comes from.
Yeah.
My stance on the whole thing is I come from a WoW background where there are a lot of crazy small little glitches that you end up learning in the game, and the term creative use of game mechanics gets thrown around a lot there, sometimes as an out for we're gonna beat the boss by standing on this one spot that causes him to basically evade glitch, or he'll just be where he won't attack us. Cool, it's a creative use of game mechanics because we exploited his pathing, and then they eventually fix it, and okay, cool. At the same time, this is something that I can guarantee you every single person gunning for world's first knew about, because we're all pretty well versed in the game. One person on the team would know about it. They can tell the rest of them. So, we all had the opportunity. We didn't. Here we are.
I will say that our world's 82nd clean run.
It was
DCP
beautiful.
82nd.
It was really
I was using a
Top
scuff.
100.
Top one.
Hondo.
Disqualified.
No. And if you want to get yourself a Scuff controller, be sure to use code DCP for 5% off your Scuff controller, and you can be included in fabulous conversations like, is he cheating? No, he's just
It's
using
definitely
Scuff.
cheating, and I highly recommend it.
And I didn't weigh in on that argument, Briar, but I absolutely don't think that using these modded controllers is the same thing as using an in-game glitch.
I'm
I
just
think
saying,
it's completely
there's different
different.
levels of, what some could see as cheating.
A Scuff
people might
controller
see
isn't cheating. It's just allowing you to use the extra fingers that you're not using.
Some people
There you
could say using a modded controller is cheating. Some people could say using a mouse and keyboard on a console game is cheating. Some people could say using the Ward of Coil is cheating. Different people are going to have different opinions, and unless there's a governing body who outright says these things are cheating or not cheating, then it's all up for fair use.
Simple
Guys,
facts.
can we all agree that what's worse is Trials being canceled for 2 weeks?
Some people
Yeah.
say using a green screen is cheating because it allows you to stream better. Oh,
Nope,
No.
nobody says that.
No.
No.
Says that.
No.
Nobody says
It
that.
doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, I was actually really shocked to read the TWAB and be like,
I was so shocked.
They put it like halfway down, and then in a second paragraph, they're like, "Oh, and by the way, because of this glitch with the emo, we're going to postpone trials
wasn't
until
even, like-
November 3rd." I was like,
It wasn't anywhere near the top. It was like in the section of the TWAB that I don't usually even read. I just kind of skim over.
Yeah.
And I saw the word trials and I was like, okay. And there was like 2 weeks. I was like, what do you mean? So I had to read the whole thing, postponed 2 weeks till
Yeah.
November 3rd because of the emote that allows you to get into walls.
yeah, it was one of those things where I was going to tweet it out, and I had to double check, be like, "Wait, did I read this right?"
yeah.
Oh my god, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goose step emote is definitely allowing you to step through
Clip
walls.
through a wall and then
Clip
shoot
through
people
walls.
from the beyond.
Yes. There's only one map that we really know that it's exploit on. Does anybody else know of any other place that it works?
No, and shut up.
Oh, just asking for a friend, huh?
Just asking for a friend. I mean, I would never use it because I don't do that kind of stuff. Right?
No.
Now that I know about the war clip coil,
Clean 82.
I'm
Clean
going to
82.
delete all
Hashtag
my
Clean
coils.
82.
Yeah.
No, I mean it was obvious. You saw a bunch of posts of it. People were streaming it, using it. It was it ran around through the community. A bunch of people were upset about people ruining their trials runs because they were hiding inside this building. Not a new glitch, right? We've been seeing these in video games forever. Where you clip into a rock or something.
Yeah. You used to be able to get in the vault of glass by jumping off your sparrow the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Sparrow was the D1 equivalent of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's how do you guys? I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel like 2 weeks is a long time.
2 weeks
It
is
is.
a long time.
If
I
only
don't
there was a
know.
new version of Destiny 2 that was coming out sometime soon that would take up some of our time. So we
It
could,
would. It's gonna help a little bit. It's definitely gonna help
Yeah.
a little
Ain't
bit.
helping this week.
Yeah.
But this is it's. See. It's hard because I don't know what other options are available. It's easy to say just remove the emote, but I'm sure it's not as easy as just removing the emote. Another thing that I was thinking is like, could they find a map where going into a wall isn't going to give you an advantage? Like play countdown. You can't do survival because if they get kill
Yeah.
advantage and go in the wall, like
Just make it countdown. Oh, you're gonna go hide in a wall? Great. You're not playing the objective and you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
well, yeah, that's kind of what I think. I don't think it would be as big of a deal if it was on countdown, but maybe it is a huge deal. I don't know, but just completely canceling for 2 weeks is like, wow, that is quite a long time.
That's big.
That's rough.
That's a big part of the end game essentially. And
The only
yeah.
it has to be worse. The only thing is that tells me is that maybe we don't know the full extent of this.
Sure.
Maybe it's worse. Maybe it's worse than what we think. I mean,
in one of
it's a
those
pretty- it
in
seems
one of
like a
those
dramatic
buildings
step.
is a vendor that sells random rolls and they don't want us to find it. That's what you're saying. Yeah. I figured this much.
yeah.
It's a huge shame to me because like my favorite day of the week is Friday because it's like I made it all the way through the week to the podcast, stayed up for dessert, and it's like Friday is my reward. I'm gonna log on. Watts and I, we're gonna team up. We're gonna play trials. It's gonna be great. Not this week.
Quick play where you might play some supremacy.
Yeah, we're gonna go play quick play. I got to play quick play. I was getting Caesar let me use his account to get midnight coup footage because the raid hadn't dropped it for me. Still not salty about that. And you know what? 75% of my games played about 8 games or so. It's all supremacy, just back to back to back to
I
back.
played
supremacy.
10 games. 1 was control.
Yeah.
So,
and
like-
I'm just like,
Really good stuff.
I want Iron Banner back so I can.
I want Iron Banner back, so I have to
control.
go play control.
that's the takeaway from Iron Banner.
I enjoyed Iron Banner
just want
because I could play
control
control. It was so
Yeah.
nice queuing up control every
we didn't
single
really
time.
talk about Iron Banner.
It was so
very
fun.
much.
Talked
Why
about it
do
last
people
week.
hate supremacy so much? I've never understood it.
I also hate
It's lost
Clash.
on me.
No, I mean I understand it. I understand Iron Banner was last week, but I mean I think a lot of people were discussing, highlighting just even more so the armor or lack of armor that they got, and I don't know. I think by not having trials, it's just really bad timing.
It is bad timing.
There's a
bad
lot of really
timing.
bad timing going on.
Yeah, especially with the state of the prestige mode. Yeah.
Is that bad? That's a negative thought. We're gonna go ahead and say it because I started. But is it bad timing or is it just fundamental problems that are really big?
It's fundamental problems that are starting to really add up. And you go back to the very first, like the first 2 podcasts for when D2 launched, and we were loving it because
Cloud9.
It's new stuff to play. We're like, we have some problems, but once you do everything, the systems that are in place for the game that are supposed to keep you there, that are supposed to keep you coming back, it quickly becomes evident that this isn't enough to really keep you coming back, at least to the state that all of us here on the podcast and our guests that come in, like that. Generally, that's kind of the opinion that we're getting. So.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you see these podcasts after about 2 or 3 weeks in a new expansion drop get into this type of state. It's great. Tide moves in, tide goes out. Can't explain that. But the one thing you can explain are these wild mics and headphones. Just some of the iconic gear that Blue creates. Blue's award-winning products are the driving force behind professional musicians, internet creators, and countless elite gaming teams and Twitch streamers. Their Yeti USB mic is the internet's most popular microphone, and their MoFi, or their Sadie and Lola headphones deliver insane sound and a very personalized fit. If you want to learn more about Blue, you can easily do that over at bluemic.com.
Nailed it.
killing it.
Before we get into questions, we should talk that also on that TWAB there was the PC release dates. They're gonna have
Yes, sir.
they're gonna have the raid come out a week after on a Wednesday for the PC, and then
Are we doing a raid DCP?
maybe
Raid PC DCP.
PC
raid.
DCP
That would be fun. I like that idea.
DCP PC DT2. Yes.
Oh, what if we could get the contest winner of the PC in to come play
To come raid.
on PC? Because
That's a great
be
idea.
That'd be
pretty
awesome.
cool. That would be really cool.
I'd be way down
We
for
should do
that.
I just sent out the Razer stuff to him today. You'll be getting that on Thursday, which is 2 days after PC releases. Sorry about that, buddy.
Profesh AF.
Look, I'm not paying $150 for shipping to get it there before Tuesday. That's a big box, man. Even if it is a business expense, I will take the
Cheapskate.
So they've got the raid coming out a week after, essentially, on Wednesday. And then the Prestige raid is also a week after that. And also Trials will be back on the 3rd if they have successfully fixed whatever it is that's going on with that emote.
Just accept Trials is just gone.
It's just gone forever.
It's
Oh,
just gone.
Listen to
We're
Watts.
stuck with Supremacy.
Are you guys...
It's all over,
Like
man.
Trials
It's all
with damn-
over.
How are you-
Boy, every glitch that's been in the game is like, oh, we're canceling Trials. Sorry, we're canceling Trials. It doesn't matter if you cancel it. The loot doesn't really matter that much anyway. You may violate the competitive spirit, but
What
it's
about
still
my
gonna
aura,
happen.
man?
Normal
What
PvP.
about my prestigious aura that I rock around the
It's still
tower?
gonna like people are still glitched through walls in normal PvP. Why does it matter if they're doing it in Trials?
True.
You know what? It matters.
What, is it based on principle that it matters?
That it was freaking hard for me to get 7 wins in a row last week. It was hard. And if somebody was glitched in a wall and killed me, I would rage so freaking hard.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. Which is why those report features are in the game. You know, it'd be great. Yeah.
I think what would mess us up more is the error codes. They kick us out, and then we get lost.
It's true. A lot.
I hate that.
I was
And
on my
Perez is
7th
nuts.
card. I was on my 7th game, and I was like sweating, because I hadn't gone flawless that week. It was my only time that I was going to go, and I were on the 7th game, and one of my teammates got kicked, an error code, and then the game put him back in automatically. And it like, how sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Mhm.
And I was just sitting there going, oh. And then I saw him come back in, and it was, it was crazy, but
And he was
That's
on the other
great.
team, and he killed you.
he was on the other team.
5v3. Good news is he went flawless.
yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. So they are also doing prestige mode on the week 3 for PC,
Yep. Yeah. 1 week
Uh,
later, Prestige.
and then guided games.
Yeah.
opening up.
What we don't know beyond
Yeah.
that, though, is what's next. What's next for Destiny?
Where's our Halloween event?
Yeah.
Hey, now-
Festival of Lost.
Find out more.
Not
There's
happening.
no Festival of the Lost.
I want mass. I want to, Ava Levante. I want to talk to her and, get a mask and some candy and all that stuff.
Yeah, I want to be in the spirit.
Get it
Yeah.
next year.
I want to finally find out what the celery sticks were for.
Yeah.
For eating?
I wonder if those have changed. I wonder if those have changed all. Let's go see in dim.
Maybe
Uh,
we
one
find
last
out
thing.
tomorrow during the stream when he talks
Right?
about
You
seasons.
can
It'll
play
be like,
Trials in Destiny 1.
can you?
No, Trials
Oh.
is closed on Destiny 1.
No, you can't. That's
I
right.
know you can't.
They
I
took
would
that
go
out.
back to Destiny. What?
Ah,
That'd be cool.
One last thing I wanted to mention
Oh,
in the
challenge
swap this
mode.
week is that they have a really cool thing. If you click the image for the Destiny 2 graphics and performance guide, I literally spent a half hour playing with this before the podcast started. If you go there, there's a NVIDIA GeForce little recommended kind of graphical settings, and they go through like every graphical setting on the PC version of Destiny 2. And they have these like little things you can click, and you can like drag your mouse across the screen and see what graphical difference they actually make in the game. It's a really cool site. If you're interested to see what each individual graphical setting does on Destiny 2 and the performance impact it'll give to your computer, it's all right there. And it's very cool.
that's really neat.
So one thing I didn't mention is challenge modes are coming. We forgot to talk about that. They said
Oh, yeah.
that is actually what's next for the Destiny universe. But beyond that, we don't know. Yeah, they're going to announce they're not going to say what challenge it is, but each mode is going to have like a challenge for that particular week, and we'll get to discover
Each encounter.
each encounter. Yeah, my bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
4 encounters then that we'll be able to have a challenge mode thing, and it's going to guarantee loot as well. So Maybe
Guaranteed.
if you want prestige gear, you do it as a challenge. You might be guaranteed prestige gear then. Hopefully.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Like on the dogs, there's a chest on the right. Maybe there's a chest on the left for prestige. Or, I mean, challenge. Sorry.
Are you saying that I'll finally be able to get like some loot from this raid
No.
instead of chess pieces? Oh.
It's going to give extra tokens.
And I really want it to be the loot explosion.
That's not happening, unfortunately.
Yes, I want tokens and stuff to fly out.
I know. I would love that as well.
That would be
Individual
beautiful.
tokens.
Individual tokens, yes.
Individual tokens and glimmer, each in one denomination.
What if a single dead orbit token popped out? Like, what's this triangle? Oh God, it's dead orbit.
All right, guys, we got 18 minutes left of this podcast. We're gonna start Twitter questions in speed mode here. So
Let's do it.
quick answers.
Holy shit! This has been a long podcast
It
already.
is actually kind of
Quick answers. Try to keep it brief.
Okay, speed.
Tiny
We can
asks,
go longer.
speedy.
Tiny asks, question for Slayerage. Is there anything you do to prepare for a brand new raid, or are you just naturally good at problem solving?
I guess the second thing, because I mean, we ran the raid on normal mode and then just went into the. I mean, I'm not the only one on my team. It's I play with good people. I play with smart people.
Nikolai Mao says, how is soloing Callus going? Any hope?
That's never gonna happen. There's just no way. I mean, if self-res was still a thing, there'd be a way. We'd do it, but nope.
Atrium Carceri says, gotta ask the juicy thoughts on the coil glitch. We already talked about that, so I'll move on. Dale Bender Jr. says, with the PC release just around the corner, how do you think the PC community will take to the game in its current state?
I am really not sure about that. I mean, I feel like the people who are going to want a hardcore grind kind of have that in World of Warcraft. The people who want really competitive PvP, they have that in like Overwatch or Counter-Strike. I'm not really sure what niche for PC gamers the Destiny is going to fill. I'm not sure there's as many casuals there. We'll see.
It's a looter shooter. Like there's a lot of people who still want to play Borderlands style games, and there hasn't been something like that in a while. So that's going to fill a little bit of that niche. But just like you guys said, the end game is not really going to satisfy like the hunt. The collection is going to be over for them within like 90 hours.
That and there's no icebreakers, Galahorns, Last Words, Black Hammers, Sleeper Simulants, Raise Lighters, Dark Drinkers, and on and on and on.
I think if you go into the game understanding that it's like a 100 to 200 hour experience, and then you'll be looking for the next game, I think it's a pretty satisfying game with that understanding.
Yeah,
I mean, and it feels better to play than any other. I mean, on the PC beta, it feels better to play than any other shooter I've ever played.
Yep, it feels wonderful.
It does feel good.
A lot of people are forgetting, because we're in this like stage of the Destiny end game. A lot of people are forgetting that the beginning and mid progression of Destiny 2 was fantastic. Like to hit
For sure.
265 was amazing, and I think a lot of people are going to really grab onto that and love it, and then have these like serious hunger pains post 265 and be like, but there was all this excitement.
The PC release also has the benefit of having the DLC a little closer to the launch of the game.
True.
So they may not have quite the issue that we have.
Hopefully we hear about that soon.
Alan says, do you think they will be having a Festival of the Lost?
Probably not.
I
I mean,
mean-
you think they would have announced that by now?
Maybe they'll announce it tomorrow at TwitchCon. I don't know. They're doing a big thing there, but if not then I don't think it's happening. Which is a shame. I would love some Halloween themed like
Same.
stuff.
Yeah.
Ornaments?
Anything.
Halloween ornaments?
My vault
ornaments,
doesn't need that.
shaders.
I think they are doing something. I think they will return to that live team model with kind of live events every once in a while, like the Festival of the Lost. They might not call it the Festival of the Lost. They might call it something else. But I think we'll start to see that pretty soon. And I'm with Watts. I could see them announcing something tomorrow.
Would it be cool if like Dead Orbit
Possible.
said sold some sort of set of Day of the Dead weapons?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Anyways.
Shaquille Everett says, is it safe to say SE Slayerage is the LeBron James of Destiny raids? I would have gone with the Ricky Bobby of Destiny raids. Nothing? Talladega Nights? Nothing?
And I know it is. I'm
just trying to
not
think
seeing
of-
the comparison.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny.
Oh man. I don't know. I mean, Is LeBron even good? I mean, if
So how
he
about
would
that
have
next question?
Michaela says, what was your favorite Destiny 1 moment that you'd like to have recreated somehow in Destiny 2?
oh my god, the
That's
Gallarhorn
hard.
moment.
There's so many, man. Getting the Vex Mythoclast for the first time, getting the Gallarhorn for the first time, getting the Hawkmoon for the first time. There's so many of those. Clearing the Vault of Glass for the first time. It just because it was my first Destiny raid, I don't think you can ever reproduce that unless they change the way raids work entirely.
You'll be chasing that dragon for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't see how that could possibly happen. But overall, there was a sense of wonder in Destiny 1 that I don't think they captured in Destiny 2.
I can pinpoint one of those. I remember waking up and then hearing rumors of the 5th chest in Vault of Glass, and then actually doing it, and then seeing the 5th chest. And even though it was like Ascendant Shard or Ascendant whatever, I was like on cloud 9 that we'd got that chest, and it existed.
Yeah.
Hey Slayer, you remember Black Spindle?
Oh yeah. That was
Man,
a trash weapon. That was not an acceptable stand-in for Black Hammer.
No. Remember how you
killed
got
that
it?
baby.
Remember how you got it?
Yeah, solo. That was
Yeah.
cool. That was fun.
Yeah. I like just the Black Spindle and Taken King as a whole, where it's like there's this secret thing if you do this other thing, and it unlocks this activity that gets you this reward. And
But that was in a daily mission. Oh wait, the dailies.
The daily.
I mean, they can't really put that kind of secret stuff in really right now anyway. It would just get completely lost in all of the noise about the game being just released. I think we're going to get cool secrets later. Like, they've always loved doing that. They're definitely going to put them in.
It's possible
so.
that was like a PC wait type of thing. Like, we need PC online before we can bring the Black Spindle of Destiny 2 into the game space.
We'll see. PC's coming out soon, so we've been saying that for a few things. Like, well, they're probably just waiting for PC to come out before they talk about this or they do this. So
unlimited
we
frames.
will soon find out.
Do you think something's hidden with Ikura in the meditations?
It's possible.
Could be locked off for now.
I mean,
Like
people,
Intel PC.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know. You go back and you play these missions. I mean, I wonder if something is like a Black Spindle type thing that we just haven't found yet.
I think the problem there is I don't see a Black Spindle weapon existing right now. Like in the current way that they've got balance approached, I can't see them putting a carrot on the stick because we're in a universe without carrots.
Odazor says, why do you think Destiny 2 neglected to bring forward so many good things that Destiny 1 built up over the years that the community loved?
I think
Design philosophy change, right?
Exactly. It was a fundamental change from a investment/collection game towards a, you get to do these experiences with your friends and you have a certain set of collection, but it's limited. I think just straight up, it was a design philosophy change and it was a gamble. And I think it did not pan out, personally.
I think it's also they were creating Destiny 2 way before all the stuff that we've had added in Destiny 1 came to even be a thing that was added. So if you're building a game and then you're like, oh, we added this thing, well, the game's already built. What do we do? I don't know. I think it could be a bunch of things. It does seem like there was some philosophy change, although that philosophy does seem a little confused in certain places, especially PvP. A lean to be more competitive, but making it more casual. I don't really understand. So there definitely was a philosophy change. It feels like that in a lot of situations, but also I think this is definitely more of a continuation of Destiny 1 vanilla than Destiny 1 after all the expansions.
Yeah. A lot of people think that like the live team had no communication with the D2 team. I just don't believe that at all.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I would be incredibly surprised if the company had like a huge river in the middle of it in the office where they never talk to each other.
But honestly, it seems like that though. With a lot of decisions that are made, you're kind of like, but this team's like doing this, and you did this. It seems like there's a conflict of where certain people on the team want the game to go.
Yeah, that's why I think like it was just straight up a design philosophy change where they said, no, we're shifting away from the collection system and the investment system and being more inviting for people to just grab a few games and feel like they did most of it.
Vengeance is my name says, with player population dipping daily, do you think Bungie has failed on what Destiny 2 could have, would have, or should have been?
We have no idea how much it's actually dipping right now. I mean, for all we know, the game is more popular than Destiny 1. I mean, do you guys know differently?
There's some reports that came out this week from Destiny Tracker that on Twitter pushed out some reports that I don't know how they're able to run, but they're reports of average daily active users, and they show a decline from the game's release to date from its highest point of just under 2 million, but from its top, I'd have to pull the post up.
Yeah, isn't the top like 4 million?
No, it's a lot, but I don't know. But I'd have to go back and look at it. But assuming that data is accurate, I don't know how they get it.
They log games in the database, so then they can like see how many games were logged in a 24-hour period, and like can track those users. So I think, from what I recall, in September, in the first week, there was roughly like 4 million-ish people a day playing. And then as it is right now, there's about 2 million-ish people a day. For some perspective, Age of Triumphs peaked at like 1.2 to like 1.3, somewhere around there, million people per day. And when the dust had settled and it was in August, I think the average peaked at like 400,000. So to say the game is like dying or even quote unquote failing or dead is really ridiculous. Like that's just
well, hold up though. That is comparing to the Age of Triumph. I mean, that's way late in the game's lifespan at that point.
It is.
Like that's supposed to be the final throes.
It is, but the Age of Triumph when it first came out had a huge boost in interest level for Destiny. And before that, it was back down to like 300 to 400,000 average daily players, jumped up to 1 million or so a day for like, I don't know, like I think like the first 4 weeks, every time like the new raid came out and there was those new exotics, and then it settled back down to like 300, 400,000 a day basically playing. So to say that 2 million people playing Destiny 2 is a dying game right now is just straight up crazy. Like you can't look at those numbers and say, wow, dead game.
It is proportional though too. I don't know how it compares to Destiny 1, but you got to consider like if 50% of what I'm seeing in chat is 50% of the players apparently have stopped playing, but I mean obviously there's going to be a huge amount of people that play day one and then just put the game down, so that's not that's not necessarily a crazy number to see, but it's like it's really like where does it plateau? Where does it stop falling? That's what we want to know.
As more games come out this fall, you're gonna see that number drop more and more and more.
Yeah.
And then there's gonna be a DLC in December, and the player number is gonna spike. It's gonna follow this ebb and flow. Of course it is.
Also, the game's not a service. Like you don't pay a monthly fee to play this game. You pick up the title, and then you have the option of buying silver, but it's mostly they make their money via a single sale, and then you come back for DLC. So to expect the player base to like just be 4 million across the board from now until Destiny 3, that's insane. You can't expect that.
Yeah. You can't really expect 2 million either, honestly. I mean,
yeah.
Well, looking at those numbers, I think that and I have nothing to base it off of other than just what appears to be a very strong dip. Probably sooner than they expected versus a gradual bleed off of players.
Yeah, and that is with the end game and the investment system, it lends to being a strong dip. That's completely understandable. But there's still a lot of people checking it out and playing.
Oh yeah,
300,000, 400,000 number that stuck around at the end of Destiny 1. Most of those are the people who are going to be not as
we're going to be here
yes,
until...
exactly.
True.
And we're about to get a huge influx of players next week.
Yeah, on PC.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of people haven't played it yet on PC.
Yeah,
That's right.
people are excited too.
They're in for a good time.
Had fun.
Yeah,
people
they're going to
really had fun in the PC beta, and I would argue that the PC beta is a superior version of the game by in a couple of different measurable categories.
God,
so,
Briar, you're so toxic, man. Why are you bashing the console players?
My bad.
Jesus.
Stop. We need one of those Men in Black, memory racing sticks and just bing.
All Briar cares about is frames and mouse and keyboard input. God, it's so lame.
The game felt better on a controller.
Oh my
too.
God. Dude.
It did actually feel better.
God, it so did. I am so excited for my new
actually
computer arrive.
Bill Harnett says, how can you make Myth Class Gallahorn epic? You already did this question. Mark Langridge says, I would like to hear an honest answer from each of you. Is the rewards for prestige fair for the difficulty of the activity? We already talked about this. I'm moving on.
God, no.
For future reference, every answer is an honest answer from
I
us.
think it is fair. I mean, I think that's a little bit worth addressing at least. Like having purely cosmetic rewards, as long as the I mean, it would be cool to have heroic rewards, but in the time of the content being out, that I mean, there's so few people doing it that if they did have the Fatebringer in the Prestige raid with how difficult it is and how you can't carry a Winkling through, I feel like that would probably lock it off more than it really should too. Personally,
You'd have a lot more posts.
I think that
you have a lot.
the cosmetics should be better though.
You'd have a lot more posts on Reddit being salty about not being able to get that, and a lot more people playing trying to get it.
They're damned if they do, damned if they don't, man.
Oh, I would much
Pretty
rather
much.
have people trying to do something that's hard than not even attempting it because there's no reason to.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Samuel Gustafson says, do you guys miss Grimoire scores? Seeing the score below the light level in year 1 was so much better than just showing level 20/40.
That and the progress when you killed knights and stuff, that was cool. I liked feeling like something was happening.
Yep, same.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and
Yeah.
then the thing would come across, be like, you've killed 4,000 out of 5,000 knights.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap! I've only had 20 kills on my Titan.
Same.
They got rid of the Grimoire, but they brought us these player cards that had things that we could track. I just wish that there was more creativity in those tracking.
Yep.
Yes.
True. At the same time, one thing that I really miss about the Grimoire is having a lot of the lore in a location to read. Like when I think I like what they did where they put a lot of the stuff that was in the Grimoire in the game and like things that you can find. But if I want to just go read up on a bunch of stuff, I can't do that. I have
think it
to.
works
Somebody
better
has
in Dark
got
Souls,
a wiki
because in Dark
right
Souls you
now.
can have like tons of armor in your inventory at once, and you can like look at the descriptions of everything at the same time. But in Destiny, because they've got, I mean, it's a more sophisticated and interesting user interface, but it does limit the amount of things you can have. So they took a system from a different game, kind of, and then it doesn't really work in this framework. as well.
The point is, Briar, Bungie, at least they had the Grimoire that I could go read online. Then yes, someone else out there has done it.
The most repeated problems with Destiny 1 was how can the Grimoire not be in the game? If they had done another Grimoire system and had a website that had the Grimoire in it again, I think there would have been outrage.
Well,
But-
yeah, no, it's
wait,
more.
wait,
I
so-
just want the location, like a location, where it be it in game, out game. I don't care. I want a lot of the lore to be, collected some way,
There's
so I can.
no doubt in my
read it.
mind that there's a website somewhere, a wiki for Destiny 2 that has all the lore
Yes,
together.
I'm sure there is a wiki for it, but I want it to be Bungie did it, not
It needs to be official.
a bunch
Well,
of
and
community
here's- and
people.
he-
As much
and
as
he-
I
and he-
like that we do that.
And here's part of the problem is that I think that they addressed the Grimoire being in the game, like the lore being in the game, by creating a better story and having those
And the adventures.
and the adventures and all that stuff is in the game.
Mhm.
People have to play the game to hear it. I think what we were looking for is once you've unlocked that story, once you've played the faction wars and you've ranked up your guy and your guy has told you the story of your faction over your ranking up, it's available to go back in your inventory and look at it and read it because you've unlocked it. That's what's missing, right?
Codex.
That's that piece of it.
Yep,
Yes.
a codex. And also my rankings. I'm a weaponsmith, god damn it. How many times have I ranked that up?
Bushman says, can you see yourself running the Prestige raid each week, or is the lure not enough for purely cosmetic loot?
If it's at the current difficulty, I probably won't be running it every week.
Personally, I have very little desire to get cosmetic armor. I'm more interested in weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I do want the armor. The only problem is it's mobility on a hunter, so I probably won't end up wearing it anyway. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I can't see myself doing it really very regularly. At the very least, like it's not. There's no valuable endpoint to get to from grinding it.
Exactly.
Especially when challenge mode's going to come out and make it where you get guaranteed drops anyway. So
Yeah, that's a good point too.
like, especially right now, like why would you bother? But and then like after challenge mode comes out, you'll do it for like a week maybe.
Yeah. They took out the grind on this stuff. That's what I miss.
Yeah. High Action Hero says, in my opinion, skill-based matchmaking needs to be upped slightly and quickly to deter players getting totally pub stomped. Thoughts? I don't think you're going to find a lot of sympathy here. High Action Hero.
I'm the one stomping. I can't weigh in on that.
I queue solo for damn near everything, and you know what I hate worse than getting pub stomped? Going up against someone that's lagging.
Yeah.
Like, that's seriously
For
my
sure.
thing. Like that will take me out of a game quicker than going up against a 4-stack, because that doesn't happen very often. You sure as shit will remember the 4-stack more often than you remember the game that you're against a bunch of solo players. So try tracking it. I can guarantee you're not going up against as many 4-stacks as you think. And I genuinely appreciate having games where players receive damage in a predictable manner, players move in a predictable manner because they're not, jumping around everywhere. I value that so much more over not getting pub stomped. I think that what you do say about getting pub stomped, that could be indicative that maybe they need to put some restrictions on the matchmaking, not necessarily towards skill, but to how many people are in a group. Like, if you are in a group of 2 people, maybe the enemy team should have a group of 2 people. If you're in group of 3, enemy team group of 3. I don't know what type of constraints that would put on the matchmaking algorithm, but that seems to be the factor a lot more that people don't like. They don't like going up against a full team, if they're solo. Not necessarily the skill-based part of it.
Or if you're solo, joining a game that's already over.
The more restrictions like that they put in place, the worse the harder the matchmaking system is going to have to work to make a good game or a low lag game.
Yeah, sure. I feel like the higher you climb up the SBMM scale, the wider those milliseconds become. Like, it's really common to see like 100, 200, sometimes 300 ping amongst other people the higher you get on those SBMM. So it's a problem. Like, dedicated servers could have fixed part of that, but they just decided not to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's all conducive to people, being stuck in a position where they're not enjoying the match or for whatever reason, and then they bounce out of the game, which then compounds it for the people that are staying in there, right? You get without a
oh yeah, you're right.
A consequence without a consequence for those people that are just saying, "Fuck it, there's a team of 3, I'm out of here." Without a consequence, they're not going to even stick it out, and the game's already lost before you even tried.
When your reward for winning is
a
1.
4v2.
Mm-hmm. When your reward for winning a game is 1 crucible mark. Woo! Man.
Captain Greybush says, did any of you try to buy the Crota Funko Pop? If so, were you also screwed over by Target employees keeping them for themselves?
Wow.
Pat, you want to weigh in on this?
I can tell you that the Target that I used to work at, there was an employee that would take the Skylanders figures, like the rare ones. He would definitely hide those things.
Was that employee you?
Oh, fuck no. I hate Skylanders. I would, if I could have burnt that display down to the ground and gotten away with it, I would have.
You would have.
It's true. Disney Infinity and Skylanders, 2 things I will never get into just because I had to hear the damn theme songs on. They were so loud. But yeah, Target employees are kind of notorious for doing that.
Like employees of every retail system are notorious.
Oh, you mean there's a thing that we're getting and we're getting access to it earlier, and I can go sell that for a lot more money on eBay?
Yeah, I'll take 10. Right. Thanks.
Yeah. What you can try doing if you really want to be that guy, which I mean, you're counteracting that guy by being that guy, but you can just go to ask for the LOD. It could be the leader on duty or whatever, and then ask like, hey, so I'm looking for this thing, but it says you don't have any, but then the store says you have a bunch. They're in the back room. Can you help me out here? Yeah, and then they'll probably help you out, unless that's the guy that's hiding them, in which case, oh well.
He's definitely not going to help you.
Yeah.
Pino at University says, in my opinion, prestige difficulty has been bumped up by making enemies more beefy a la Crow to Zen. The mechanics feel good, though. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like an accurate statement, Pino.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty accurate.
There is.
I actually enjoyed the raid. Like, I enjoyed the new
I enjoyed it,
mechanics.
too.
I liked how they make you do more, be more involved in more ways.
Yes.
I thought it was fun. The problem is the level of difficulty means that you have to get a raid group who is solid enough to get through that raid, which can be difficult. And then to do it means the rewards just aren't there. So it's just the carrot on the stick just isn't there to grind it over and over. I'm glad I did it. I had fun doing it, but there's no real reason for me to just keep doing it over and over again, like there was for Vault of Glass or Crota's End.
The sad thing from this, Slayer, I was reading through your Reddit post earlier, which I'm going to put that in the. If you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, check the description. Slayerage's post is in the description. Like you basically open up with Destiny 1 light levels made it possible to under level, but not to over level, and this is also true in Destiny 2. It kind of sucks that this power level that the enemies are at never going to get any easier to kind of kill them for the most part, right?
That's true.
We have to be way, way, way over their
Yeah.
level for it to make any real difference.
Yeah, which
You do get like a negligible amount more resilience, I guess, would be the term in this game. Like
Yeah.
you're a little bit tankier the higher level you get, but you need to be way over leveled for it to make an obvious difference.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess they're kind of balancing that level of difficulty the same way that they balance like the legendary modes in Halo, or the hard difficulties in Halo, where the enemies definitely hit a lot harder. It's harder to kill them too. So they're basically just doing that type of delta scaling, which is kind of bad in an RPG like this, where we're expected to eventually level up and be able to conquer the content because we put the time in to get better gear via RPG mechanics. But that side of the RPG is just so diminished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It would work a lot better if it was possible to over level a little earlier, because like by the time we'll have a light, like if we were at 350 light level, then Callus Prestige mode would be noticeably easier at that point.
yeah.
But by the time we get there, nobody's going to care to do Callus Prestige mode.
Right.
Yep.
Proto says, do you expect a raid with the Osiris DLC?
No.
Oh, no. I wouldn't expect that.
Really?
God, I'm sad hearing that. Yes.
Just from
I
what we've
want a
known
raid.
before.
I want a
I would
raid.
love a raid. Do I expect one? No.
I expect one.
Is Brother Vance
You?
going to be the boss?
Yes.
Or
Not
Brother
just being
Vance is going to be the
church.
token guy. He's the token guy. Never
I
mind.
think they're ready. I think they're ready for giving us a raid, and we're going to be blown away by it, and we're going to see pyramids fighting the darkness in the edge of space.
If they're not going to drop a raid with the next DLC, then they need to put some sort of activity, kind of like Prison Elders, but not Prison Elders, for God's sakes. Not Poe, but Poe, in a in a way that's going to be interesting to replay.
Yeah, they got to figure out a way to make a wave-based mode, a
Horde
horde mode, work
Yep.
in Destiny.
Yes.
They have to
that would
figure it
be
out.
cool.
They've tried three times now.
Fixing the ammo
Yeah.
would have to happen in Destiny too, though,
Yes.
because
Oh,
man,
Christ, yes.
you'll end up with just no ammo to shoot the dudes with.
Yep. We need some sort of horde mode or dungeon crawling thing that generates the levels for us, so we can grind it and be happy about that type of end game if we're not going to get a raid.
Or public space, location specific battle royales.
Might as well just jump on the
That'd be
battle
really
royale.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, like
Fortnite,
Ness-
H1Z1, PUBG.
Nessus,
There's three
you
options
know.
for you. Go play that if you're
No,
looking for battle
I'm
Oh,
royale.
saying that
dude, we
you
were
drop
talking about
down-
that last night playing Fortnite. Destiny gunplay, Destiny world design in a battle royale.
Yes.
It's perfect.
I mean,
pretty
that would be
cool.
sweet.
Division Survival
be
was
sweet.
amazing. Why not have it in Destiny? It was so much fun. You'd get a weapon and be like, "Oh yes, I got the rare better devils." Sweet, you know.
But what about the casuals that can't get to the actual end game of the battle royale? It'd be
know
impossible
what?
for them to get this loot like they can at every other place. It fundamentally goes against the design principles that we've seen already.
After you finish
in
a battle
Destiny
royale
2.
game, you get 5 tokens.
There you go.
Yeah.
More tokens based on.
I would
how-
rather get 0. I would rather get 0 tokens.
Oh yeah, it's got to be on dedicated servers though. If it was peer to peer, God help us all.
Oh my god,
Jesus.
peer to peer with 100 players.
100 people.
But-
Oh, yeah.
Or just 20. Just 20 people. Battle Royale with no dedicated servers. That's going to be fun. But seriously, 100-player Battle Royale in Destiny would actually be legit.
Think about it though, like it'd be the only battle royale game where, well, I think it's the only one that is out right now that there would be NPCs, right? That or there would be enemies. You're fighting, so you would be fighting other guardians, right? But then there would also be you would have to go to get the loot instead of just
PvPvE?
finding chests. Yeah, but here, no, get this. So the way that Destiny would be different is that you would go and there would be enemies in there like fighting each other or the hive or whatever on these different locations. And once you kill them, they would drop engrams. That's how you would get and upgrade your loot.
It's like survival on Division.
Is it?
Yeah, Division did exactly that. It was basically like you had no gear, and then you
Right.
like go kill other PvE enemies, and somebody else might come up also and gank you at the same time. So you got to be
Oh,
worried
wow.
about. Oh, it was amazing. It was a super fun time.
It was.
playing
Sounds
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just
Cool.
steal it.
There's a-
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Opportunity
let's
that
rip
I
it.
always thought has been missed by these games is instead of having like that blue generic circle that closes in, have that circle be like PvE, like hordes of enemies, and like the farther that circle gets from you, like the more PvE enemies you've got to fight off while you're trying to get back to that circle.
That's actually really
I
interesting.
always thought that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the further you get out, Briar, the more yellow bar, and eventually there'll be
Yeah.
question mark guys.
Yeah, I always thought that'd be a fun thing to do. Ever says
Yeah,
any
you actually
game.
just sold me on the idea with that. You actually just sold me on the idea with that.
Ever says any games that you are looking forward to beyond Destiny. Anybody got anything? I mean, the big gaming systems.
Mario?
kicking off.
Wolfenstein
Yes.
2, Battlefront 2,
Yes.
Wolfenstein 2.
Unlimited Frames.
Death's
I want to
Gambit.
punch some Nazis. Sorry, good.
Death's Gambit. I've been following that game since like the past 2 or 3 years now, and they're getting all the voice lines done for it now. And
Nice.
it's coming
What
along.
kind of game is that? I've never heard of it.
2D Castlevania meets Dark Souls.
I like the sound of that.
Red Dead Redemption.
Oh,
That's a
wanna
good one.
play
That's
that
not coming out
game.
this year,
You
though.
think
is
it's
it?
really going to come out
Gotta
next year?
wait. But I'm
Gotta wait.
excited. But I'm
Alright.
waiting.
I'm
Excited.
guessing 2019 on that one.
It's not
how
waiting.
about Anthem? Is Anthem going to be any good?
Oh, that's so far away.
Yeah,
It's
that's next
so
year.
far
and That's
away.
probably going to get
Is
delayed
that
also.
next year?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that shit's gonna be even further away than next year.
Last of Us 2 too far off as well.
Probably.
Probably. Yep.
Wolfenstein 2, though, the new Colossus, the new order was a fantastic game, and you can get that really cheap right now. If you haven't played that yet, check it out, and then you're going to instantly
Good
want to get
times, good
Wolfenstein
times.
2, the new Colossus. And, like the trailers for that game have looked just batshit fun. But also, Fallout 4 is getting their VR mod coming out. I think in December. I'm really looking
snap.
forward to that. Playing Fallout 4 in VR, like that just sounds incredible. Being
There's
able to
parts of
explore
that game
world.
that would scare the living bejesus out of you with a VR headset.
I can't wait. I
All
love
right.
Fallout 4. Or I love the Fallout universe. Fallout 4 was a mediocre game, but I think could be really enhanced by being in VR.
Yeah.
JC Hauser says, where is Destiny 2's Black... We've already talked about this. False Jesus says, thoughts on Xbox One X and Destiny?
It's gonna be the best place if you're looking for the best pixels anywhere, man. PC ain't
Yes.
got
Right here.
Pixel.
6 teraflops
Also,
of graphical power, and the Xbox One X is gonna be insane.
if you're sick of your frames dropping to 10 or less in the back alley of the church, Xbox One X.
I cannot understand why you would buy an Xbox One X to play Destiny 2.
Because
It doesn't
the
make any
graphical
sense.
prowess of this system, Briar.
For
Four-
for
4K.
$500, you could definitely buy a PC that could run.
And for $500, you can get the best pixels to be found anywhere, Briar.
No, legit
For-
though. If you
for
want
$500, you
4K on your Xbox, it's Xbox One X.
You can definitely get a PC for $500 that'll run Destiny 2. And instead of being remaining in the Xbox universe, you get inducted into a whole new library of games, right? So you keep your Xbox One or Xbox One S. You still have an Xbox to play all your Xbox games, but instead of just buying a better Xbox, you can buy a PC and now have access to Steam and to good old games, an entirely huge new library of games, and play 1080p 60 frames per second Destiny 2.
What? Does PC have Halo? They don't. We got them. We got them, boys.
I just said you're keeping your Xbox.
Got the Halo and the best pixels anywhere. Get that 1X.
You're not.
Also, you can be a pirate.
Could be a pirate.
You could be a pirate.
You cannot play 4K Destiny on a $500 computer. So
no,
some people,
but you can play 1080p 60 frames per second, which you can't play on an Xbox One X.
Yes, but some people might actually be on the 4K tip and only interested in that. So if they bought,
Destiny.
Listen, Briar, if they bought a 4K TV and they want that for the Xbox and they don't want to re-level their characters, Xbox One X.
That's right.
I have played 4K Destiny 2, and I've played 1080p 60 frames per second Destiny 2, and I can assure you, 60 frames per second with an adjustable field of view slider is far superior.
And you know what's superior to all of it? Master Chief! Gotta get the Chief! Gotta get that Chief in there, Briar!
I think Patrick's lost it.
Tefty's the Church of the Limited Frames. I am the proponent of the 6 teraflops.
The proponent of pixels is what you are.
The best pixels anywhere.
You're the apostle of 6 teraflops.
Are you the Pope of pixels?
Got the Pope of pixels right now. Let me tell you, the Xbox One X is gonna be the best location for pixels anywhere.
Oh my god.
Shaquille Everett says, do you think there is a way that exotic mods can be put in the game? Thinking of some for each weapon class.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exotic mods would be dope.
Exotic mod. This would be Bungie's exotic mod. This mod makes gun better. And then the community would have to figure it out.
It's now got a plus 10 boost to power.
Oh, Jesus. Briar, stop.
Yo, what if there was a mod that combined all 3 elements onto an energy weapon?
And it just shot all 3.
It shot
What
brown.
if there was a mod that changed the way the gun played?
Yes.
No.
Added gravity to your bullets and slowed it down.
Oh, I'd take a exotic boot mod that added gravities for those goddamn scions.
I'd take an exotic get good
sweet.
mod.
That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, so exotic mods would be
Plus 10 mobility mod.
only for hunters.
Exclusive exotic
Only on quick
mod.
bang.
You're laughing, but I know that's what they do.
Oh man, it's so bad.
Devnato says, have you guys participated much in guided games? If so, what are your takes? Anybody done it?
No.
Guided game?
No.
I have been.
How'd it go?
Really great. Anytime I've obviously if you're the one grabbing, I've done it on both sides. If I'm the one going in waiting for a game, it's a long wait. It's a long wait. So you put it on
Raid or Nightfall?
Nightfall, and they were great guys and did it. It was fun, but it was like a half an hour wait, and I just wanted to have it done right. So to say I've done it. And then I went in and I've done it with the Rezo guys, where we've Sherpa'd people, and it's only a minute or so, and then they pop somebody in, and they've been great people, and it's been fun. And
we've talked before about them. They need to incentivize us to be Sherpas.
Do that, yeah.
That's how you need to get Galahorn Year 4. Guided games, you heard it here first.
Yep.
That's what they need to do.
Got to rank up your guided games faction.
Mm-hmm. Only for
when I did my search for a guided game, I tried to do a search with cookies for a raid guided game just to know what the experience was like, and we had there's like a 20-minute wait or so, and then we had like he left because of inactivity or something, then a 20-minute wait, and my internet kicked out for half a second, and I had to restart. And it works on a queue system where like the people who have waited longer are going to get the game. So if there's enough people in the queue to make it an hour and a half wait, you're going to wait an hour and a half. There's no chance you might do it a little sooner than that, that's fair, but it does mean they need to put more Sherpas in there, because when we did finally get done waiting an hour and a half, we were playing with Portuguese people that did not speak English.
Ooh.
Oh,
I've heard this multiple times. It just blows my mind that they would match somebody that doesn't speak the same language. Like,
yeah.
Obviously, we carried them through the raid because Cookies and I can do that clearly, but no, that didn't go like that at all. Actually, because one of them left before we landed, one of them left after we landed and went to the wrong door through the underbelly. At like 20 minutes after landing, we had got to the Callus door without even trying to do anything first. I'm not even really sure why. I don't know what their plan was. And then someone left when we went all the way back out of the underbelly to go to the dog door, which was the first one. So we got like by the end of actually getting to the first encounter, at that point it was half seekers and half guiders with a language barrier that prevented any possibility of us actually getting anything done. It was not really ideal at all. And the Nightfalls that I've guided, I mean, those are pretty cool. It's fun to play with people that you don't know and to help them through things. But like you're saying, without any incentive to do it, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to make a 30-minute commitment that could put a mark on my reputation as a player if I don't go through with it. Like, I'd have no reason to make that commitment. It's not really worth it. Like, what if you get someone who you can't talk to on your team in a raid? That would kind of suck.
Hugh
It
Lewis
needs to be looked at.
Hugh Lewis says, "Are you guys getting fed up with all the salt in the community at the moment?"
I don't pay much attention.
I don't really go on Reddit anymore. I'll be honest. It's like there's nothing there that other than complaints. I don't mind somebody suggesting a way to fix the game or pointing out a problem with the game. But when I find myself playing with somebody and that's all they do for the entire time, I don't find that I enjoy my time with them. You know, like when push comes to shove, I actually do enjoy playing Destiny 2. Like, it's a lot of fun. Do I have complaints about the game? I do. And when we do a podcast or we have a discussion about Destiny 2, that's going to be the stuff that we talk about, right? But when I'm playing the game and I'm talking to somebody and all they're doing is bitching and moaning the entire time, that's not fun. It's just not fun.
It's true.
It's, I mean, it is very true.
Basically, like, every couple days there's a really good post on Reddit, but if I just read the title and I see it's like, oh, they need to resign. He needs to resign because this is so bad. It's like, this is...
Yeah. If personal attacks, too, you're off my list. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's pretty lame. Yeah, I mean,
I think
I enjoy the game.
A few people...
I was going to say, I still enjoy playing Destiny 2. I give constructive criticism. I try to make it as constructive as possible because I enjoy the game and I love it. I want to see it grow and get better. I don't complain about the stuff just to like beat a dead horse and then get salty over it or anything like that. I'm just genuinely interested in the game getting better because I enjoy it.
First of all, I completely forgot. We actually did do one other guided game where we were helping some people through we did a 4-person team with Legend himself and then tried to guide 2 people. And then at the very first encounter, one guy just went AFK and disappeared for 15 minutes and then eventually left. So we did a 5-man raid helping someone out. It was kind of silly. But
I got to go eat a sandwich. Be right back.
Oh, Mom says I gotta
he
go.
didn't say, no. He didn't tell us he was going to get a sandwich. He just put his controller down and went and ate the sandwich. And
That's
was up to us.
crazy.
I'm going to try
Someone
that
would
during our
just
next
peace out.
raid.
If we beat the encounter without him, free loot, man.
Oh, I got to
That's
go.
the meta.
I got to pick up my wife. Be right back, guys.
William PB says, would you rather be Alien or Predator?
Both.
Predator.
Predator for sure.
Predator for sure.
Yeah.
Like, Alien is just like an animal. Predator is like a sentient being.
No,
like,
he's
he can
cool,
think
man.
and do stuff. And he's got weapons.
Real
He
cool.
does have weapons.
He's also in multiple games. So,
Probably got weapons with random rolls.
yeah.
He's got a real end game, is what you're saying?
Dude, the Predator, like they have the grind embedded into their ecosystem. Like, yeah, you have to go here and kill this thing if you want to come back to the planet and hailed as a true hunter. Sweet. I love quests. Let's
Kill
go.
50 aliens to collect their emblem and track
right.
their
Aliens?
progress.
I'm out. I'm
No.
going to be the cook on the ship. I'll be the Predator cook.
What? You know the cook
Yeah,
dies.
To be the
The
Predator's
cook
the
absolutely
alien, dude.
dies from the alien on the hunt. The alien's like, I'm getting
Oh,
revenge.
no. I'll be the ship pilot. the ferry boat pilot for the Predators. The Predators need a pilot.
The Predators, it's all AI. It's all AI, man.
I mean, the world needs ditch diggers, Johnny.
You are now one of the Predator slaves.
Ringo the Gun says, "What's your favorite topping on a burger, and why is it caramelized pineapple, cheddar, and bacon?"
I would eat that, definitely.
I would try it. I feel like there might be a moisture problem with caramelized pineapple on a bun.
Depends on how it's caramelized.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because it could be like a little too juicy, or it can be the right level of crisp.
Crisp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Crisp. Caramelized pineapple.
Exactly.
That's a fun thing
I'm
to
just gonna say what everyone else is thinking, and that sounds absolutely disgusting.
Hey, it's tough not being able to taste things correctly and having taste blindness. Feels bad, man.
Taste blindness.
If you got taste blindness, I can see why it might sound interesting to you.
The best topping on a burger is another burger patty.
Extra burger?
Basically,
That sounds like Patrick.
Take a burger and then you add another burger on it, and the more animals you can kind of stack up on top of each other, so to speak, the better the burger is.
Turkey, chicken, burger.
Chicken.
How about
pork,
different cuts of beef?
Vegans in the audience are dying right now.
You put like bacon in between each one just to get
Yeah, that
steak,
bacon. That's the clear answer.
Porterhouse. Just all of it put in there. Yeah.
Porterhouse. I mean, I like a porterhouse. You want to put a burger
Can't go wrong,
I'm
right?
With that. I am fine with that. Shack says, Cuphead or South Park Fractured Butthole?
Ooh, two different, very, very different games.
Very different.
Very
games.
different. Yeah, stress levels very different. So far, I beat Cuphead. That was a fantastic game. But if you're not used to platforming, you might be slapped with a difficulty curve that is not fun. South Park is hilarious. I don't watch the show, and I'm still finding it absolutely hilarious and playing through it.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's very rude. If you're easily offended, then stay away from it.
I haven't played.
Cuphead is easily up for one of my game of the year. Like if I were to do a game of the year, like top 10, it's easily in my top 10. It's probably in my top 3, and it might be my top 1.
Yeah.
I haven't played South Park yet though, so I can't really comment on which one is better.
I think Cuphead is more
exactly what I would say.
Cuphead is more mastered, like a mastered game in my opinion.
Absolute Zero says, "What's the proper way to cut a sandwich? Corner to corner or directly down the middle?"
Whichever way you enjoy the
corner
most.
to corner is directly down the middle too.
Oh my god, you blew his mind.
That's a good point.
What if your bread isn't square though? It's like rectangular.
Corner to corner is still going to hit the middle.
Yeah, geometry is geometry.
What if your bread's actually in a circle?
Still? Oh wait,
there are no corners.
Yeah. At that point, you'd have to create guiding corners. Like if you were to make a graph.
I feel like corner to corner is more intimate, special.
Yeah,
it's longer.
Yeah, it provides
I
more.
do like the corner to corner. I don't actually have a preference, I suppose, but corner to corner looks better. It's more pleasing to the eye.
I don't know. If I cut a piece of French bread corner to corner, that's just awkward.
If you go to a fancy party and they're bringing around little mini sandwiches, they are always going to be triangle shaped.
Mm-hmm.
That's
you're
true.
right.
You can judge how fancy the party is based on how they're cut. Yeah, if they're triangles, fancy. If they're a bunch of squares.
They're quartered, then you probably paid too
if,
much for them.
If they're right down the center, it's like you're packing your kid's lunch.
There you go. There you go.
Kevin Pontius says, "Is there a chance that you guys will ever put the DCP artwork on merch and start selling it? I would love a tee." It's funny you should ask that, Kevin.
Check the description of the YouTube video for our link to the Society 6 store where you can buy
literally everything.
And literally everything, yeah.
Everything you
Tons
could
of
The Society of 6 store is interesting. There's a lot of people who use it. It has everything you can possibly think of. Well, not everything, but it has a lot of
Does it
different
have a
variety of
unicorn
things.
coffee cup? Oh my God!
Did you buy that from Society 6?
Not actually.
No, but they do have coffee mugs, and you can get a bunch of different pictures on it. It is cool.
I want to get a DCP coffee mug. I think that'd be great. I'm going to do that today. Reverend Jimmy Love says, what is the best cut of beef for steak and how well done? Got a favorite cut of beef? I mean, the porterhouse we were talking about was pretty good.
I like a bone-in ribeye because I really like to cook with the bone in. I like the flavor that comes from it. And medium rare.
Yep. Meat. I like meat.
Patrick doesn't care what it is or where it's from. He doesn't
medium
care.
rare meat is generally like
as long as it's not a salad.
If it's a fillet, I'll probably go rare. But every other cut, probably just going to be medium rare.
I always go rare, almost no matter what the cut is, and I would prefer a fillet over any other.
Fillet is pretty good, honestly. I don't like it being too red, honestly.
I like it being almost cool in the middle.
I don't want it like mooing at me.
You should order it blue then.
Antibiotica says Pope has 360 plus hours played. How is he a filthy casual?
Oof, calm down.
Filthy casual in relation to us.
That's a really good question.
Pope has more hours played than I do. I think by a lot.
I think that part of what Slayer was talking about earlier was interesting to think about. What makes a hardcore player? What is a casual player? Under his definition, I would definitely be a hardcore player. Right. The game came out right when I was going out on paternity leave, and when my kid was born, and then my kid ended up being 2 weeks late. So just on the release day of Destiny, I had 2 weeks straight where no kid and off of work. So
his wife didn't want to do shit. She was 2 weeks
Yeah,
off. 2 weeks
she's too
overdue.
pregnant.
So
She's too pregnant.
in
Sounds
real
a little
terms,
too coincidental there, Pope.
What?
Did Bungie pay your wife to be 2 weeks late?
All I know is that the stars aligned. I had lots of time. So right. So my time right now is absolutely not casual. But I'm back at work, and I'm lucky if I get, a couple of days, evenings a week.
Lucky if you get 40 hours in this week. God, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
Apparently, I only have.
But he's definitely filthy.
Apparently, I only have 10 hours put in according to Wasted on Destiny. I have 10 hours put into the game.
That's
impressive.
It's pretty casual, guys. I am
That's
the
You
very
new
have
casual.
had some excellent RNG.
Yeah. Damn.
Man,
Slayer's
dude,
bug.
Buckness says, why do people love candy corn when it is the worst candy ever created in the history of mankind?
All
Look,
I hear
everyone-
is how much
someone love it?
people hate.
I don't love
Yeah,
the
what's
candy.
up with all the candy
Okay,
corn? hate?
look.
I hate
Everyone
candy.
likes to be able to kind of go back in time, and candy corn is the perfect opportunity for that because it hasn't been mass produced since like 1986. So whatever you're eating,
Yeah.
you're getting that
Same
wonderful
shit.
taste of 1986 preservatives.
They've never made it. It's just recycled candy corn from the same year of like 1980, dude. They never create more candy corn. It's a known fact. They just repackage it and send it out.
See, there's a lot of candies out there that kind of fall under this category. Why does candy corn get the hate, but these other candies
Because it tastes
don't?
like wax.
It doesn't.
The other
taste
ones
like
are good?
wax. What?
They are gross, dude.
There's formed sugar all over the place in all these stores, and yet candy corn is the one that people are like, "Oh, I hate candy corn. It's
It doesn't look
disgusting."
like corn.
Can you put a name on some of the other ones? I'd love to, because I'm comparing it to like at your grandmother's
sugar?
house.
No,
There's those
Peeps
little
are pretty
like
bad.
white and red
Peeps are
candies that
pretty
are
bad.
like lifesaver shaped. Some kind of.
I would definitely rather eat
like
candy
little
corn
strawberry
than Peeps.
things.
Oh god, the little strawberry things are so good.
That's what I'm talking about.
There's a
And
lot
the
of good
candy
candies
corn
out there, Tefty. Candy corn tastes like you're eating a really
There's
bad
also
wax
a lot
candy.
of bad candies out there that just taste like puffed sugar and stuff. And candy corn is basically just some sort of fructose mixture.
Is this
like
is
most
this where
other-
your hate?
Most other candies.
Is this where your
Guys,
hate
I
of
think
Peeps
Pepsi
comes
likes
from?
candy corn.
I mean, I'm gonna eat some candy corn if it's in front of me.
Candy corn
You are.
apologist.
You're part of the problem.
I'm not.
You're the reason why it's still around.
I'm oddly curious why so many people hate on candy corn so much when it's like there's a
It's
lot of other
orange.
candies that are bad.
And it's white, and they both taste the same.
It only
And
comes
it's a candy
around
named
once
after
a year.
vegetable.
Doesn't have a brand name. It needs a brand name.
You telling me?
Is candy corn the brand name?
Yeah. Like
Is
candy
it, is
on
there
the
like some
cob.
company named
If
Candy
you were
Corn
like,
that
oh,
actually
I'm gonna
makes
go
it?
down and buy a bar of
Yeah,
candy on the
egg
cob,
rocks.
like this would change it for you?
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, it wouldn't
corn
actually,
on
of
the
course.
cob?
It wouldn't
No,
actually, of
candy
course.
on the
but, like,
cob is the brand, you know, in like old timey
You know what
letters.
Twix is?
Established
I'm down.
2017, you know?
Tell me, like, Three Musketeers. When you're out on Halloween and like you get the little Twizzler thing, it's like nice. I know exactly what I'm getting. But you get candy corn, it's just like what you couldn't even
Seriously.
upscale just the tiniest bit and buy
That's
something
gonna
with a name
change
on
the
it.
flavor
Now I'm
for
gonna
you.
go buy a bunch of candy corn to give out to kids on Halloween.
Don't do it. They hate you for it.
Bastard.
Well, maybe they won't come back if I do that.
Exactly.
Definitely
No,
egg
get
in the
raisins.
house.
Get raisins.
That's brand new house, egg all over it. Hope you don't have any trees because they're gonna have toilet paper in them.
I'll call the cops.
Oh, guys, it's a little concerning that everybody hates candy corn all of a sudden.
I don't hate it.
It's just mediocre.
Sounds like
It's
a lot of
just
hate to me.
subpar, man.
Look,
Subpar candy.
Sounds like a lot of
Yeah,
salt.
it's more candy. I want more bang for my buck when I'm putting that many like sugars and calories.
Candy
in
corn
my
is
body,
not
right?
expensive. I'm sorry. It is not an
I'm not talking
expensive
about.
candy.
It's
It's
not
not
about.
about-
price. It's about health. Okay, like
It's what
if
you're
I'm
putting
getting
in your
pure
body.
You are eating sugar.
tastes good.
You are not
You're
getting healthy
eating
off eating the
processed
sugar.
sugar that could survive a nuclear holocaust.
That's what he's saying though. Is if he's gonna eat sugar, he wants something that tastes
Good.
better than fucking candy corn.
Yeah. It's
Exactly.
trash.
It's like I bought the mini M&Ms because they came in a tube. They didn't taste any different from normal M&Ms. They're just M&Ms.
I don't know.
Get
The
rid of-
chocolate candy shell ratio
Well,
is all
that's
off with
branding.
those little fuckers.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like plating, but
Lemons.
it's like little plastic packages in this case.
I like having the tube because then I could put roly polies in them and then
Like
carry
little
them around like
M&M
my pets.
fetuses. They're awful.
Oh yeah, me too, dude. Completely sympathize.
Mm.
All the time.
Church 5SIX1 says, would you rather be 3'6" with big hands or 6'3" with tiny hands? So you could be
6'3".
a little short guy with big hands, like a clown, or a big tall guy with little tiny Donald Trump hands.
Tiny hands. Tiny hands. I'll go tiny hands.
I feel like 8 feet tall with like little itty bitty hands, like just microscopic.
is that the proportion? The taller you get, the smaller your hands get?
Yeah, that's what the question's asking, isn't it?
So he
I-
gave very specific heights. Either
Oh, so we
3'6"
can't get taller with smaller hands?
so we
No.
can't have fun with it. I mean, okay, 6'3".
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
he
I
doesn't
mean,
specify how tiny the hands are.
if
I
I
feel
would
like-
be I would be okay with either one of them, Briar, honestly, because even at 3'6", I would still be taller than Tefty.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Huh.
Oh my goodness.
What are you gonna do with big hands at 3'6"?
I don't know. I feel like no matter how big my hands got, I could still work with them, but at some point they get so tiny that they become useless.
I feel like that happens with big hands too. Imagine like there's a lot of like, oh, my hands are too big, can't operate these electronics. You know?
Mhm.
That's true.
I could always get the Xbox Duke controller. They're remaking that.
Oh man.
Ramos Network says you have someone who overstayed their welcome. What is the best way to get them out of your house? Hashtag get out.
You do this. Thanks for tuning in to the 55th episode of Destiny Community Podcast. Sorry, we've been overstaying our welcome. We've been going for 2 hours and 40 minutes now. So, are we all in agreement here?
To it. End it.
Okay,
do it,
okay.
dude.
Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Patrick Casey. You can find me at Holtzmann_YT on Twitter, where I don't know, I'm just ambivalent towards candy corn this week.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me on Twitter at the Briar Rabbit. You can find me on YouTube. Just look for Briar Rabbit, or on Twitch, streaming mostly every afternoon.
I'm Tefty Teft. You can talk to me at Teft on twitter.com/Teft. Twitch.tv/Tefty Teft. Streams are usually 6 p.m. Pacific and after. And I have a YouTube channel as well, Tefty Teft.
And I'm Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at Miss 5000 Watts. Not playing Trials because it's on forever.
Slayer?
I am Slayerage. You can find me on Twitch mainly at twitch.tv/Slayerage. That's the correct pronunciation, by the way. Not Slayer Rage.
And this has been Pope Bear. You can find me on Twitter at Pope Bear or stalking these guys on their channels. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at DestinyCompod, where we notify you of all the guests that are happening on the show, as well as any of special events that are going on or giveaways that we're doing, as well as gather Twitter questions. If you want to ask questions every week, we post. Briar will put them up on our Destiny Compod channel that the day of the podcast, so that you can maybe have your question read on the show.
Next week, I will not accept any questions that don't have the hashtag clean82 in them.
You heard your first, folks.
Go,
Also, be sure to subscribe or join the Discord server. It's in the YouTube description. Please go say hi on that. We got a great little community over there, and we might start taking some questions there in the future. Maybe, I don't know. I need to talk it over with these people on the podcast and not just randomly announce it like an asshole.
Yeah, that was news to me.
My bad.
I heard about it.
Later, everyone.
Thinking
Thanks
out
for
loud.
tuning in.
That's great.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
All right, we are still live.
You can stop recording now, and we're still live.
Yep.
Even though